You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back with a new episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Welcome to 2025 and a new season. It is season 8. This is the premiere. And clearly, we have a lot to catch up on, apparently. I've missed you all so much. It has been a very, very eventful start of 2025. I mean, I knew there was going to be some, stuff with the White House and hopefully no insurrections, which that did not happen, as we can see, because clearly some people know how to practice a peaceful transition of power. But there has been other things that have taken place in the past, I would say, roughly 2 weeks. We're 2 weeks into January, and it feels already like the month has already passed us. Like there was like no warm up. Like everyone was trying to have a break or a buffer, and it just seemed like 2025 was like, what are we waiting for? Get with it. And it has in so many ways. The lessons I learned from 2024 has already confirmed what I was expecting to take place in 2025 much sooner rather than later. But it is a new season. It's a new year. I mean, this is the 201st full episode of Ernestly Speaking. And the 200th episode, which was the season 7 finale, 100,000 downloads? Like, what? But I thank you all. I appreciate it. That's the highest an episode has gotten, a singular episode. So we reached 100,000 at the finale. And you all saw that news over the break. And I'm so grateful for people to listen and spread the word. And I know that this episode is going to have some new listeners, some new subscribers, because I've gotten a boost of followers based off of some breaking news that I dropped on Sunday. So it's a lot going on. If you're listening to this podcast exactly at midnight when it dropped, or if you're listening to it in the early mornings of Monday, several things. I am teaching at CCP. I'm starting my fellowship with CCP that kicks off today on this lovely Monday. I'm teaching 3 courses this semester. I'm teaching public speaking. I'm teaching group and team communication. And I'm also teaching, of course, communication tech in the workplace, which is a new course that I've been the only professor to teach at CCP since last semester. So I'm looking forward to it. This is the first return back to school. Everyone's coming back. My younger brother is in now his final semester at Temple. So it's getting real. And some of you all have been like, what? Didn't he just start? No, it's literally been, he's in senior year now. So time flies, I guess, when you're having fun. But he's about to wrap up. He's about to graduate this spring. So it's interesting because I'm gonna, he's definitely been doing his thing. I'm proud of him. I miss he's gonna be out in the world being an adult. I'm missing the little brotherness of it all, but he's a grown man. He's doing his thing. So super excited for him on that front. And of course, Mr. Johnson wraps up his master's program at Johns Hopkins, which we'll be finishing. So I got like 2 big graduations happening over here. So we'll see. But a lot of things are going on before I get into all the tea. Super excited about CCP. Had a really great orientation program last week. Entering this new role as a fellow, I get all of the full resources and benefits of the Community College of Philadelphia family. So it's different being just an adjunct. Like I'm given more opportunities with this program and this experience, and it's been great. Just seeing the different fellows in the respective departments. I'm of course with the English department, communication, media studies sector, and so I'm going to be working on a lot of programming and opportunities for students, and really exploring the journalism. And how cool is it that everything that's happening right now, just in general. And I know we're going to talk about the thing. We're going to talk about the 76ers arena. So for listeners, new listeners, I guess because this will be already recorded, you can skip all the other stuff to get to that. But I regret you do that because context matters and this is a cool show. So of course you should listen to everything. But I know some people are like, what about the 76ers thing? It's like, I mean, those who have been following this show, loyal listeners who've been listening to Ernestly Speaking for quite some time know that I've been laying the foundation to what the hell just happened. Okay, that big what the fuck moment that just happened this weekend. If you've been listening carefully to this podcast, there has been signs that this was going to play out this way. And I'll give more insight and tea that I have not put on Twitter or put on Instagram anywhere else because I love doing my podcast because it allows me to just talk freely and also just kind of say things that enough character words will not make sense. So you know how you do a big ass, like I'm the king of like writing these big ass posts and doing Twitter threads, but sometimes conversations, like actual vocalizing the point resonates in a way that written form does not. And I'm fortunate that I can do both. So, we'll talk about that for sure. But, for my other listeners, my main core listeners, and those who are regular subscribers of Ernestly Speaking, we're going to talk about everything else that's going on in the world, and then that, of course. So, CCP starts this week. I'm super excited to be teaching. I know where all of my rooms are at because during orientation, I was like, I need to look and find out where all my rooms are so that the first day of teaching, I'm not somewhere lost in a maze. Because CCP, while it is a smaller campus, it is a very complicated campus as far as finding rooms and finding places. So it is going to require a level of expertise in me to not, completely just miss class or whatever. So I'm definitely happy about that. Capricorn season. So Monday today, January 13th, is a special goat in my life because I've been referring to everyone as goats. Goats as in like goats as in that's the sign of a Capricorn, but also it's the greatest of all time, goats like that. So there's been many goats in my life, Capricorn goats in my life. One of my besties, Andre Caro, his birthday is like literally January 1st, like, which is crazy. One Capricorn. Earlier last week, George, my late brother George, had his birthday. And then on Friday, this past Friday, my mother celebrated her birthday. And then the day after Friday, Saturday, January 11th, my other lip brother, Josh, celebrated his birthday. And then today, Dr. Parks on Monday, January 13th, celebrates her birthday. So if you're keeping track, that is literally 4 Capricorns in a week and 5 in the past 2 weeks that are like the closest. Like these are like friends, like people I've been friends with for years. So it's a lot. So I have to like schedule out my posts and my shout outs and just make sure everybody is seen and heard. And all these birthday parties. But fortunately, my lip brothers, they're doing like a duo party together. So, I can spread the love there. And of course, my mom, I just saw her for the holidays, but I always send her and mail her like gifts and things like that. So I'm really happy about just celebrating, her birthday and all of that. And just being able to just celebrate my Capricorns. Now, I have to say that this is a part of a 3 zodiac season spread. If you all recall, I have a bunch of Sagittarius as well that are like back to back. So, I have Nina, I have my bestie Lauren, I have my good friend Cindy back home in Texas. I have a bunch of Capricorns that their birthdays are right next to each other. And then I also have, those are Sagittarius. Sorry, those are Sagittariuses. They will get mad at me. The Sagittarius and then will get mad at me for calling them Capricorns. Those are Sagittarius. And then I have Capricorns. And then I also have Aquariuses. I have a couple of them by the bunch. I have Manny, I have Sharon, of course, my husband. Both of their birthdays are all right next to each other. And so there is a wave of Aquariuses as well. And then after that, Pisces, my younger brother at Temple, my baby brother in April is a 420 baby. And then it's just like, it just kind of calms down and relax until we get to 4th of Jamarcus in July. July 4th. That's the Independence Day that we celebrate over here at Ernestly Speaking. But after that, it's kind of chill. And then, of course, October and it's E Day. But that's the cycle for most of the birthdays. And other birthdays sprinkle around. But I have these huge waves of Sagittarius, Capricorns, Aquariuses, and then we kind of take a break in between. Abel's birthday is around the same time as my other brother, my younger brother who was at Temple. So there's like he's a Pisces as well. So it's Abel in the mix too. But other than that, it's not too much craziness like back to back congested party birthdays after that 3 zodiac wave. So let's get into it. Let's get into some of the things. Before other things happening because you all saw pictures. So let me back up. I was in New York City this week. I was in Queens, New York, because Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, we just had the inauguration of our 37th general president, brother Lucien J. Metellus Jr., who is the first Haitian American to ever become a general president in Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated's 119th year of existence. So we've always had black men. We've had 36 general presidents before him. And throughout the diaspora of our fraternity and and all the different diasporic identities from Jamaican to, Southern to Eastern and to all the different identities, we've never had a Haitian American, someone of Haitian descent be the president. All of these black men, and this is the first black Haitian man to be the president of our fraternity. So it's a pretty big deal. And he has a lovely, life story. He's a New Yorker. He comes from New York. I mean, his family, of course, is Haitian, but he's from New York. And so to have the inauguration in New York was a big deal. We had it in Queens. It was lovely. We stayed at the LaGuardia Marriott Hotel, which was a pretty chill hotel. And there was a lot of opportunities and celebration. It was leadership training. I will be serving on his administration, helping to advance his story, his message, along with a lovely slate of incredible other board chair appointees and other people that have been appointed by him and chosen by him and of course voted in by the board. But he has a great team and he has a great vision. He's planning to do some really big things that's going to spread the word of what Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is about, mission driven and focused. And he's planning to, not only just, I want people to remember that this is not just a fraternity that is about members, but the work that we do is in service to the community at large, whether it is increasing opportunities and access for young black men and women to get access to go to college and get educated. Voter registration is important within our fraternity. Regardless of your political affiliations, we before there was NAACP, before there was a National Urban League, before there was any other divine nine fraternities and sororities, there was an Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Okay, 1906, December 4th was a major moment in American history, but Black history. This type of advocacy, the way that we do it, we predate several institutions that you all know very well. It was us. And we continue to do that work. We have programs that have been out for decades that have inspired young Black people to go to college, to graduate from high school, and not just graduate from high school, but to go to college and pursue higher education. A voteless people is a hopeless people. And that's something that we advocate in our voter registration efforts and getting out the vote. So there's a lot of work that has been done in this fraternity for over a century and counting. And I'm happy to be a part of that on a national level. Of course, you all know that I'm doing a local level, serving on the board of the Row chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, which is the only single letter Greek alumni chapter. Grad chapter. I'm in a fraternity, so that's a big deal, and I'm proud to be a part of that history. We've been around our chapter Row since 1914, so 110 years. So not that far away from the national, organization's founding date. So we're talking over a century of Black history and Black culture and Black leadership. And so it was a really big day. It was a really big weekend. And at the inauguration luncheon, we had Senator Chuck Schumer speak. which was a pretty big deal. And there was a lot of important people, celebrities, famous people, leaders that came. We had Congress people. We had people like Raphael Warnock that was a part of promoting and supporting this momentous occasion. He's also an alpha. Wes Moore, also an alpha. These are people who have been, throughout the weekend supporting on their social media platforms and supporting everywhere. And I had the pleasure of going to all the events in the gala. I bumped into Michael Blake, which is running for New York mayor. He's also an alpha, and he's running for mayor of New York in the upcoming elections, which I believe is next year, is their New York City's election. So he's also running to be a part of the DNC, the Democratic National Committee. He's actually in a race right now, running for their chair of voter engagement and outreach. And so he's also running for that as well simultaneously. And that election is happening this year, very, very soon. And then, of course, the NYC mayor race is next year. And Michael Blake is a proud alpha man and has done a lot of work. Some of y'all might know him from Win with Black Men. He was a part of those efforts. And he's just been an overall, badass, respectfully, in politics. And it's going to be interesting to follow that. And I've got the chance to meet him and connect with him. So more on that very soon. As far as the gala itself, you all saw that lovely picture of me. First of all, my tuxedo. First of all, the fashions that I was dropping, I just want to say that tuxedo is my brand new tuxedo. I just got fitted. That's the first time I wore it. And baby, nothing beats a tailored tux. That was a Calvin Klein tux that was custom fitted and all of that. That was Calvin Klein. And it fit well. Yeah, it was a badass look. It was. I wore Vera Wang at the Harvest Moon Ball, which we did, but this was Calvin Klein. This is a new fitted one I just got made. And I loved how it fit me. And all of you all that were in the comments telling me I look good, I felt good. I felt great. I had the cufflinks, I had the Alpha cufflinks and everything. Alpha IQ is what the Metellus administration, that's their branding, their phrase about really basically building Alpha's intellectual impact and value in communities. So I was just decked out. It was just a really great event, y'all. And I hope you all can see the joy and the magic and everything. If you would have asked me a year ago from now that I'll be an Alpha and that I'll be at a national inauguration for the next president and I would be serving on the general president of this fraternity and being in that room in that way, I would have never guessed it. I would have never dreamed that. And so I take a step back to tell myself, damn, I really outdone myself. And so it was a very proud moment. And I'm just totally just in awe of that. I was on the train from Amtrak headed back to Philly, and I couldn't even bask in all of that because I broke some news that made the internet break, and so, or the Philly internet's break. So I'm taking that in too. There's a lot to take in and process with that, but I'm trying to focus here. I met Ebony K. Williams, as you all saw in the photo, and Eugene Scott, who's a big political journalist in DC. He is a Black queer man. He is a Black alpha. Well, of course, he's a Black alpha. Well, listen, to be clear, not all alphas are Black. We are diverse in our fraternity. There are men from all various walks of life and identities. You do not have to be Black to be an alpha, but our history is Black, and our mission is focused on uplifting, Black people. But everybody can work in uplifting Black people. We should uplift all mankind, to be clear. And so there are many people who join this fraternity that are not necessarily Black, just to be clear. And they are doing the work to uplift our communities, regardless of their background. So that needs to be clear. But Eugene Scott is a proud Black queer journalist and also a fellow alpha, and it was just great to connect with him in person. We followed each other on social media for years, but it was just great to us to see each other. And then Ebony K. Williams, she's an AKA, and she was the mistress of ceremonies for the inauguration gala, with also brother Jeff Johnson, who's also a proud Black journalist and also an alpha man. And it was just great to just see other Black journalists and media in the room and just being a part of this moment. So, um, yeah, it was just a great experience. I really felt seen, and it just and I just think about all the years I've been in this industry and just been in different spaces, and I don't know, I just feel like 2025 just feels like, with everything happening in the world, it's time for us as a community to put aside a lot of the bullshit that, just it's just no time for that. I feel like, I don't know, it's just time to get work done. It's time. It's if there's ever been a time for people to put their bullshit aside and get the work done, now's the time. Like 2024, it just felt like people were just playing too much and just really cruising. And if there is anything that we're witnessing right now in 2025, it is time for everybody to get with the program. And all of these Democrats, progressives, Republicans, conservatives, mega people, all these other political folks on both spectrums that want to spend a lot of time just picking fights and just trying to one up right now, it's just not, this is not the moment. People, there's too much going on right now for folks to, because to be honest, there's bullshit on both sides. One is bullshitting more than the other, but there is bullshit on both sides. And there's bullshits within local politics as well, which we're going to clearly dive in deep soon, very, very soon. But I just wanted to lay the foundation there. So yeah, New York was incredible. Alpha inauguration was dope. More to come on that. But other things going on. So Mr. Johnson, I had a really great time catching up, just relaxing before the big return year. So even though there was a lot going on so far this year, we definitely was able to take some time to organize. I feel prepared. I must say I've come into 2025 prepared on so many levels. Like, I don't feel overwhelmed. I feel very much relaxed, but also focused. And so I definitely took some time to enjoy and relax, but also take some time to prepare. So one of the things that we did during our excursion, we tried Jaffa in Philadelphia. Now, for those who listen to Ernestly Speaking, you all know I went to Jaffa when it opened in Brooklyn a couple of years ago. This is about what, 2023? 2023. Yeah, 2023. It opened around 2023. Yeah. Because I was on my book tour. This was the summer of 2023, because I was doing my book tour, and I went with my bestie Abel. We went to Jaffa in Brooklyn, and I was telling you all about it. And I was telling you all that it was good. Well, I will say, in my opinion, the Philly location is better. Michael Salmanov and Steve Cook and Solo and Cook, did their big one with Jaffa. It's in Kensington, Old Kensington, I believe, and it's the bomb. I enjoyed it. It's a really fun seafood place. For those people who are used to the very upper echelon energy of the Cook Solo brand, it feels like it's intimidating to go to. So it was like you have to do the most. This is a more laid back, casual spot. I know from the menu, it's not kosher in the same way. It's not kosher in the same way that other Cook and Solo restaurants are, which allows them to be a little bit more experimental with the way in which they interpret this seafood experience. But it's really good. Everything about it is very fun. It's very spacious. There's upstairs and downstairs. There's a lot on the menu to choose from for different folks. The Jaffa Burger, which is not on the Brooklyn menu. There's a lot of things on the menu so for those who've been to Jaffa in Brooklyn, there is a very massive difference between the menus. There are some things that have translated from the Brooklyn menu to the Philly menu. For example, the prashami, the prasam, is it I'm trying to look at the menu item, but there is a prashami fish, that dish that they do, crudo, like a prashami crudo that they do that has like the seasonings on it that is translated to the Philadelphia menu. So there are some things. There is a Jaffa icy drink that they have, cocktail that is like a slush cocktail that is on this menu, like a Java Crush, I believe it's called. That definitely is on the menu. Things that I did not see that I don't remember. That I remember there was like a seafood plateau, like a big huge seafood tower type of spread of different items. I don't think that's on the Philly menu. That is on the Brooklyn menu. But things that are on the Philly menu, they have a wide array of seafood dishes, both cold and warm, and main course dishes that is in Philly specific. This Jaffa burger is one of the best new burgers I've tried in Philly in years. And I'm saying I know that, a lot of times well, I wouldn't, let's just say I would not say that if I didn't mean it. I think anyone who has the Jaffa burger will agree that it's a good burger, it's a memorable burger, and it is something really, really special. Um, it's just really good. I don't know what to say. Like, I know that you might be thinking, okay, I'm going there for seafood. Yes, the oysters and seafood are phenomenal. They have a really good variety of oysters. They have a really great raw bar selection in general. So by all means, take advantage of that. But if you're like, look, what is this giving? Order the burger, split it in half with your date or your friend or whomever you're with. So you all can both try it so you don't get full. But it is really good. The fries are good. And it just is overall just great experience in restaurant. I highly recommend it. It definitely has been my, the first new restaurant I ate coming into 2025. And let's just say it started the new year right. So if you're looking for a new restaurants to try, definitely Jaffa. And I would say that it's spacious enough that you can be able to get a reservation there. I don't feel like the reservations are like super filling up on certain dates. So maybe Friday, Saturday might be wild, but try it's enough space, I feel like, where you should be able to get a reservation. It's fairly new. So I feel like people are still trying to test it out because it kind of had like a nice like soft launch in late December. And so these are the type of restaurants that for people who are like, when did Jaffa come out? It literally opened like about less than a month ago. So this is fairly new. And so I was very happy I was able to get a chance to check it out. But George, my good lit brother, Dr. Gio, he really loved it. He's been like 2 times already. That's how much of a fan he is. But he's in that neighborhood and he's already went 2 times. And that got me like getting my ass over there to go. And I was impressed and blown away. So I can't speak of this enough. It's a great spot. If you love seafood, if you want something different, more chill from the Cook and Solo group that doesn't make you feel like it's super pretentious or feel like you have to dress up. Like, dress up casually, look nice, look cute, but you don't gotta, like, this is not Zahav. And this is more laid back than Laser Wolf. Because I feel like Laser Wolf has been upping the fanciness too a little bit. But I would say this is very relaxed. It is definitely, it's not even Dizengoff. Like, Dizengoff is chill too. This is fun. So I would say this is a spot for that. So just want to put that out there. But as you all probably been hearing, Mr. Johnson, my husband, has launched a new business, Surefire Public Relations. It is a new business. He still is working for the city. He's still doing all that because a lot of people thought he left. He did not leave. He is still staying with in city council for now. But he has his own separate business that works in public relations, media consulting, and all that jazz. And it is specifically towards civic and small businesses, public campaigns, small businesses that need that kind of work in consulting. He's not doing, from what I'm gathering, he's not focused on restaurants and hospitality. He's more focused on other strategic types of initiatives and projects. So if you're looking for someone who does that kind of work, it's Surefire Public Relations. And Surefire is one word, like a surefire bet, right? Great title, great name, huh? But it's Surefire. So Surefire, 8 letters, 1 word, public relations and PR. He has a website, which is getting a lot of traffic. Surefirepr.com is the website. There is an Instagram page. There is a Facebook page. So it shouldn't be hard to find. But if you are looking to change clients for your year, if you're looking for a new publicist, a new person, he works in crisis communication. He works in social media management, and he works in earned media placement. So he's good. He's good at what he do. He's an expert. This is a comms family. And so if you're looking for that, definitely check him out. He will do press releases. He does all that kind of stuff. And he works with different people. It is a boutique PR firm that harnesses the transformative power of storytelling to get your message in front of the audience audiences that matter. We understand that there's no one size fits all approach to strategic marketing and communication. That's why we create public relations campaigns designed to meet your unique needs and maximize your brand's reach. Whether you're looking to promote an event, policy, or initiative, you can be sure that we'll get the job done. So that is what his team is doing. It's storytelling you can count on, is what Surefire Public Relations is saying. And of course, I mean, like, he's married to me, so of course I'm going to shout it out and promote it. And I mean, I mean, there's people that will kill to get promoted on this podcast. Of course, I'm going to support my husband. And he also still runs Debauchery as well. So if you are interested in bartending and getting private services, that is still operating as well. We have a lot going on over here in this lovely house. So, shameless plug, not really shameless because it's not me, but lovely boo plug, shameful plug, shameless plug, whatever you want to call it. I want to promote it. If you're looking for those needs, hit me up, get the DMs, follow his social media, go to his website, and hit him up about those great services, because we love to support Black-owned businesses. We love to support Black queer-owned businesses. We love to support local businesses, and that is all the things that he do. So, moving into hot topics, because I know you all are ready to go in, and I'm ready to go in too. But before we get into the local drama, let's talk about what's happening on the national ground, because you all have been messaging me. Y'all, Trump inauguration is coming. Okay, it is coming. It is actually coming very soon. Next Monday, MLK Day, will be the same day as the Trump inauguration, January 20th. Yes, January 20th, we will be entering the official start of the second term of the Donald J. Trump presidency. I mean, what is there to say? I mean, if you're shocked, get off this podcast. This is the wrong podcast. If you want to hear somebody pretend and play with you, you can go do that somewhere else. A lot of stuff is going on. You know, he is officially a convicted felon. He is official felon. He is been charged. As you all know, he did not get any criminal jail sentencing. He, you know, because he's the president, they gave him a slap on the wrist legally. But he is still acknowledged as a convicted felon. And he is entering the White House with this. Now, the first time he entered, he was not a convicted or indicted president. This time he's a convicted felon, and he's entering the White House. And I think we will forever change the way in which we look at the presidency. Lame duck mode is in effect. I think to some degree, the situation with the House, right? The Republicans have control of the House, and there's a lot of people, there's going to be some things that's going to happen that is going to annoy us all, and we are seeing that. Let's be clear. This man wants to have a Gulf of America. I can't even say that because I grew up in Houston, Texas, so it's always been the Gulf of Mexico, okay? Galveston, Gulf of Mexico, all of that. Like, what are you talking about? But no, it's a Gulf of America, he wants to say. The GOP's divided. The GOP's very divided. Like, Trump supporters versus non-Trump supporters, mega versus non-mega, tech bros versus non-tech bros. Like, the girls are fighting, okay? The GOP is fighting. Like, everyone over there is divided, which shows us a lot, right? A deal had to be brokered to ensure that the House Speaker, Johnson, is back in his seat. But he's entering that seat knowing that this will be the last time he will be Speaker, House Speaker. There's no way. I mean, I don't think, now, I've been wrong, but I have a sense that the Republicans will lose the House in 2026. Like, the midterms, they're going to lose something. They're not going to have this trifecta of control and power. The problem is that I don't necessarily know how far the trifecta of power is going to work when there is like a razor thin margin of support of power for them, to the point that if there are some Republicans that do not vote in favor, that doesn't go through. I mean, literally, it took Democrats to save the budget. I mean, to keep the government shut down. there were Republicans that literally voted against it, and if Democrats did not show up the way they did and they wanted to play petty politics, there would have been a government shutdown. So it's going to be interesting on give and take and compromise with this upcoming Congress. So we'll see. I mean, there's been lots to do about the disrespect and the swearing in ceremonies with the Senate and all the shade of Congress. But like, I normally I would talk about that, but like, I'm at this point where I'm just tired of it. Like the antics and everything. Like everyone sends me these videos. Did you see how that senator didn't shake, that person so-and-so did not shake the vice president's hand? Yes, it's very disrespectful. Absolutely. But okay, what are we going to do about it? Because it's not like that's enough to make people decide not to support MAGA. Like it doesn't, like no one's being like, this is such bad behavior that this is making me want to not support these people because they're so, not fair and not respectful to the country, even though they already did the insurrection. And technically this president has never apologized for the excessive things he's said and done in the past. So I'm still holding out faith that he will be presidential this time around. Like, guys, knock it off. Like, let's not. It's very clear what we're facing, what we're up against, and people just got to move accordingly. There's no time to react and just completely spend all this time arguing about racism and arguing about this and arguing about that. Like, at this point, we know what we know. We've seen what we've seen. It's a revelation to all of us, and we need to move accordingly. Period. So, these antics that we're hearing from about Greenland and all this stuff that the president's trying to do. I mean, Justin Trudeau and the Prime Minister of Canada is resigning, which is shaking up a lot. I will say that the conversations around tariffs and Trump has people shook because there is the fear of financial, blowbacks to some countries, including Canada. And so Justin Trudeau leaving is emblematic of the Trump administration, the early reverberations of that. So listen, as optimistic and hopeful I am that Trump will not get his whole way this time around, that the Republicans are so divided that they're not united enough to, look, they've been divided. And as you know, throughout this podcast, I've been telling you that they've been fighting each other. But the one thing I'll give Republicans credit for is that they know how they pick when to unify. Like when it comes to big national elections, they'll unify to take everything over, but then they'll fight after the election's over. And so that's something the Democrats don't know how to do. They are so stupid. Like Democrats will fight each other at the times they need to unite each other. And then when they are like losing power and momentum, then they'll try to get it together and unify. You should unify when you have the power. Stop trying to fake this sense of democracy and civility you have. That's all cap. Go in there and push your way through. Because that's what the Republicans do. They get in, they play the long game, and then they really double down on major decisions that will impact people for the rest of their lives. Now, small scale things, they just will fight each other over semantics and arguments, and they'll get jealous over who gets positioned. But for the most part, they will unify when it's time to come. Democrats will dying on the vine of righteousness when it comes to certain policies. And then the gag is they'll do that self-righteousness, but then they'll make decisions like the Chinatown arena. And then people are like, well, how can this be the same person? So it's a lot of hypocrisy, for sure. But, here we are. I would be remiss not to talk about New Orleans and that traumatic terrorist attack that took place. I just want to say this because it's going to go to my next point about California and the fires, because that's also devastating as well. But what I want to tell people, liberals specifically, because Republicans are going to just Republican and conservatives are just going to do what they're going to do. So there's no point in talking to them about what I'm about to say now because it's going to fall on deaf ears. What I will tell just fellow progressives and liberals and those who are of the more left side of spectrum, understand that your calls of action, silence, and other performative gestures that you feel like make an impact, please understand that that does not apply in every city, every community, and every economy. That things that may not make sense to you is going to involve the survival of other people. And what I mean by that is that during this atrocious attack that happened on New Year's in New Orleans, we lost innocent lives. Several people, dozens of people were injured. And there were people who did not understand why Black vendors and those several vendors and small businesses had to reopen so soon and really push through on, what not. Okay, for some of you all, you can say a day of silence, no work, heal, mourn. And guess what? You will be able to afford it. You can afford it. You can afford the strike. You can afford to take some time away. But if you actually know about the history of New Orleans and Black-owned businesses there locally and vendors, you know that this is a group of people who their entire livelihood is largely dictated by tourism. And as long as there are people in those streets, so will they be, because that is how they support themselves. That is how they make their living. Like, New Orleans is a very touristy city, and vendors in New Orleans, especially smaller niche Black-owned venues, they rely heavily on tourism dollars. If there is no interest in tourism for the rest of the year, they will lose significantly. There will be a major financial, it would just ruin a lot. And so I just encourage people to have more perspective and grace before being quick to just shame or judge folks for things of this nature. Context matters. It just do. It just absolutely do. And I think sometimes we apply our East Coast brains or this is where I live and this is how I would do it. And we apply that type of sentiment into every situation. And if you don't actually unpack the parts of what's happening in New Orleans or what's going on and what's causing it, you'll miss the larger point. I have friends who, tell me all kinds of things, giving me tips about, what they're experiencing or what they're seeing. And it just gives me a broader scope. So I just want to put that out there. Now, to these California wildfires, there's been a lot of conspiracy theories. There's been a lot of that pointing the finger on politicians. I will say, though, that elections do have consequences. That those, when people say, show me your priorities, show me your budget, and your budget will show me your priorities, that's something that I take into consideration, that a budget shows you priorities. And I definitely do not think that the Los Angeles mayor is going to get reelected, Mayor Bass. I don't see it. I don't see it. I could be wrong. Maybe something will change. But just her response to the fires that have taken place, in some of the wealthier parts, but has also hit other neighboring parts and other parts of LA, several things need to be taken in mind. Cutting those budgets for the fire department and then moving them to, really, other budgets that are police budgets that you kept police funding a certain way, but you took money from the fire department. And this is the prices that we pay. But we don't prioritize. I mean, I couldn't imagine personally being in California and not having a serious water firefighter budget just in general, because wildfires have been happening for a while. I just think it has not been at this magnitude in recent years, impacting this much property. And what's been frustrating for me is seeing how people online has reacted. Both sides, media and the public. I think the media, in my opinion, spent a lot of time focusing on how this is impacting celebrities. And I get it. Celebrities are people too. These are people who have families and histories and livelihoods, and it is unfortunate what's happening to them. And there are people who just simply say, oh, shut up, they can afford it. That's true. But they don't necessarily have to shut up about it. And the media does not have to only make it about them or stories about them to fuel a lot of public insensitivity around this issue. So I see various sides and nuances to this issue, but I want to also reiterate the importance of people, recognizing that there's a larger world outside of here. And one of the things that I've been reading some really great articles from some writers that have talked about the Black history in LA that's diminished. That there's a lot of Black families who own homes that are not just major pillars of their family, but their community. And that there were archival information and relics and things that is now going away. And that there's a large part of Black history in LA that has now been ruined by this fire. And so while we keep talking about, Tina Knowles is home and all these other celebrities like Mandy Moore and what's happening to their families and this, that, and the third, please have in context that, one, Hollywood is not just the island, that there are people and that what happens to them, regardless of whether they can pay for it or not, that this is a travesty and this is a devastation. And also, just because mainstream media decides to front the face of celebrities attaching this to make people think they care, to be honest, whether it's celebrities or not, I would still read the story and care because it's just this massive amount of loss. What's been frustrating to see, paparazzi and celebrity gossip bloggers obsessing over details that are just so irrelevant. Like, I saw this article about Ben Affleck going to see Jennifer Gardner and not J-Lo during the fires. It's like, so everything's going on and this is what you got. Like, someone is paying money to have someone hound celebrities down to see where they're going and who they're with. Like, if I were you, I would be worried about my own safety. But capitalism rears its ugly head once again. And so now we have to deal with celebrities doing what they do best, which sometimes can be sucking the life out of the public's attention. There was even like some celebrities trying to capitalize off of promoting air purifiers and trying to get like a, discount code and make a profit or make money off of selling them. But it's like all the hustles, all the grifting, even though we're in the middle of a major crisis, but we have all this grifting and all this going on. So it's been very frustrating to watch because you would think that even with everything we just had in New Orleans to what we have now in Cali, that folks would just wake up. But no. So I hope people get together. I really do. I hope that there is a change in perspective when it comes to how we talk about climate change, how we talk about just showing empathy, because that is what I feel like has been missing in a lot of these conversations is empathy. So going off of that, the other thing I'm thinking about is the level of mass incarceration labor that has been used for this whole entire endeavor. That in many ways, a lot of the people that's working to put out these fires are currently incarcerated. Along with, of course, our brave men and women firefighters who are not incarcerated. But it's just that thinking about the fact that they're going to have to risk their lives and not be paid, which some people believe that prison labor should be exploited labor. But just the fact that, inmates are used in these types of ways, and then the treatment of the facilities that they're in are not given, a humane, stable focus. So there's a lot of thoughts there, just a lot. And I just hope that people's families, those who know people in California, those who listen, just keeping them in my thoughts and my prayers during this time, and just hoping things, work out the best way they can. So, local politics, I guess we've arrived. Before we talk about local politics, I do want to address this because a lot of you all DM me a couple of days ago because y'all already know what it's giving. But y'all hit me up about a certain state rep that you all keep telling me about. Um, that is what it was going on. And it was just, let's just get to it. Malcolm Kenyatta, perennial candidate Malcolm Kenyatta, consistent, persistent runner of statewide and national races that loses, Malcolm Kenyatta, is now throwing his hat in for a bid to be the vice chair of the Democratic National Committee. Oh, this is not a joke. I kid you not. This is not, I'm not like, LOL, psych, just joking. No, he is on a long list of people who are trying to compete for the seat of vice chair of the DNC. Ladies and gentlemen, we have officially have lost our minds. Look, I would argue that this is not the craziest plot. This guy has ran for U.S. Senate, and this guy has ran for Auditor General. What? And now he's running for vice chair. So I guess this is a plan to fail upward. I'm just trying to figure out. He has consistently kept his state rep seat. He's been there since 2018. But he, for whatever reason, wants to keep aspiring to other seats in proximity to power. And while it's giving him visibility, it's almost like, are you running just for clout? Like, are you trying to get a book deal? Let's talk. What's up? He's got a documentary, so he's trying to find a way to build. It's like, dude, you just that dude that just keep running for something, and the order is off, right? So, to me, first of all, vice chair is just like super. Again, ambitious. I guess that's what it is, right? He's super ambitious, but like, you're running for this seat with. You've burnt out all of your local party support. Like, I don't know anyone in the state or local Philadelphia party that wants to put any energy or attention towards him. I think that ship has sailed. He went away for a little bit after his loss as Auditor General, and I thought he was going to recensor, refocus, and then come back and be a better state rep. A state rep, like, your district is in deep poverty. Your district, was a big area that was hit by gun violence, over the years. Like, there's a lot of issues in North Philly. And if you was a state rep that cared, you would really be invested in those issues and really censoring them in the work and really helping to bring, your national, your profiles you brought to really censor your district. But instead, you've only have treated it like it's a stationary concession prize for every loss that you've had since then. And you pretty much want to just continue to get on state benefits, build up enough money to get a pension, and relax. And this is the shit this is what voters are sick of. Yeah, he's not old. No, he's a little older than me. But, we're both in our 30s, we're both millennials. But God damn it, I go to work and I know what the hell I'm doing at my job. I just think it's just, we're at a point where we got to call a thing a thing. People are just failing upward. Like, no experience, no real legitimate understanding of how any of this works. Learn something, but the moment they learn something, they just want to go right to the top without considering. Like, you was a state rep that did not pass any original legislation of your own. You have not been a mover and shaker in Harrisburg when it comes to the policies that impact people and matter. You spent more time sitting at a panel, you weaponizing identity politics to get yourself on conversations and committees. And at the end of the day, there's no material impact that shows from it outside of representation alone. And I'm a black gay man talking about another black gay man. So don't even come over here with that. Like, if this was somebody else, yeah. We're both young black gay men. I am critiquing a fellow person in my specific community space. If I can't get him together, I don't know who else can. So I'm going to say the thing that needs to be said because I'm in that community. I know that space. From one accomplished brother to another, dude, pick a lane and figure it out. And that's me talking, okay? Because sometimes you just get to a point where you're like, man, like I want, I want everybody to win, but I want people to actually win. You losing, you taking L's, and these are just L's. You're not about to win this vice chair seat. This is gonna be another fumble. Like if I had his playbook, I don't know who's on his team. I would have told this dude, listen, go to Harrisburg, shake the table, and then run for Congress. Wait for Dwight Evans to retire and run for Congress. And then you would have had a chance because you would have built momentum to then run for Congress. Instead, you ran for everything but Congress, and you expect that door going to open for you. And maybe you would have had a chance. You know what I would have called this? I would have called this the Summer Lee effect. Summer Lee has the career that Malcolm Kenyatta wished he had. She was a staunch progressive. She stood on business. She had a personality. She went viral a couple times. And she waited enough to be strategic to run for a national seat, win a national seat. And now she's there for a period of time and she's doing her thing. That's the Summer Lee playbook. He should have the Summer Lee playbook. Because I don't know why he thought he could be a senator. And a state like Pennsylvania, that's what we're going to require, a statewide primary. One thing about congressional races is they're district focused. A Senate race requires a statewide. How do you But you know who I blame? I blame the Democrats. Because they kept pushing him up, just pushing him up, knowing that this guy was not qualified for it. And Pennsylvania voters are very interesting. Like statewide Pennsylvania voters versus others. It's not that they will not vote for a black person statewide. They've done it twice. They've done it with the guy, his opponent. This man been elected his second term in office. And then that was Timothy DeFore, the black Republican who ran for Auditor General, who was the first black person to ever win a statewide seat in Pennsylvania politics. And it was a Republican. It's Timothy DeFore. The second is a fellow millennial that we all know and we all love here at Ernestly Speaking because he came on our show. Austin Davis, elected lieutenant governor. He was the second black person to ever win a statewide seat in Pennsylvania history. So, and he's the first Democrat to do that, first black Democrat to do that. So, Austin Davis did it. He had the right team. He had the right, coalition, and he won. And he's lieutenant governor to Governor Josh Shapiro. This could have been Malcolm's pathway in some way, not a statewide, but he should have. Because I think statewide for him, it just wasn't going to work for various reasons. One, I do think that he's running for the wrong seats. Like Auditor General with no actual budgeting, auditing experience. Like, come on, dude. You're going against a man who was a commissioner in Dauphin County. Like, this is the guy who has it. And he's also black. So you could even say that it was a racial bias. Now, he'll probably say it's homophobia, but I don't think it's that. It could be some, right? There could be some conservatives that say he's gay, and I'm not going to deny that, right? But there's also people like myself that has a fair concern about it. And the thing about Timothy DeFore is not a Trumper, even though they tried to say he's from the party of Trump. Well, we're from the party of a lot of Democrats that I'm not going to name that's problematic in the state. So we're not going to do that. Just saying. The party, let's not do that, okay? But to be fair, there were actual strong, infractions upon Malcolm Kenyatta that I just don't think works. And Pennsylvania is a state that is interested in bipartisan government. Like, they are okay living in a world with, were at one point, I suppose, I guess, having a Democratic senator and a Republican governor, or a Democratic governor and then a majority of Republicans in the state Senate. Like, they are okay with these tipsy-topsy realities. Like, okay, we have a majority of Democrats in the House. Speaker Joanna McClinton just got, reappointed or revoted in as the Speaker of the House because the Democrats have the majority. But people keep, getting into some health issues and things. So just hope that they can keep that majority. It's very small. It's only by one vote or one seat. But it's just one of those things where Pennsylvania Democrats, Pennsylvania Republicans, Pennsylvania voters are okay with a mixed group. is a very, very purple state, you know. So you just don't know. There's a very tricky bunch. And so you really can't act like, okay, they just voted for Trump. Yes, the majority of Pennsylvania voters did vote for Trump. But that doesn't mean these are the same, but this is the same Pennsylvania voters who gave the Democrats the majority of the state house again, where they could have deviated and could have lost. You know, somebody could have switched, but they kept the majority. So the majority of the Pennsylvania Democrats are in the Supreme Court of the state, of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court is a majority Democrat. So there is these weird nuances that I think gets ignored. But I think Malcolm Kenyatta just is in over his head. Speaking of endorsements, so former vice presidential candidate Tim Walz has formally endorsed David Hogg. Yes, David Hogg, who is the gun violence prevention, advocate. He's endorsed him for vice chair. That's a pretty big damn endorsement. I mean, it doesn't mean that David Hogg is going to win, but it's very telling that this is the case. So Malcolm, you're not even the youngest person in the race. You're not even the most radical option in that race. And the party is largely endorsing the other person that is considered to be the wild pick or the younger, more progressive pick. So where do you fall in this? What's your pathway to victory? I mean, there is none. So, yeah. So these are the things that just gets me. And now we arrive at the conversation that everyone's been waiting for. We have arrived at the moment you've all been waiting for. We have arrived where I'm going to spill all the tea to the point that your cup is going to overspill. And I'm going to tell you a lot of things in context about what the hell or what the fuck happened on Sunday, January 12th. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, let's just make it clear. The 76ers arena is no more in Market East. Chinatown, stand up. We did it. Or billionaires did it. But still, I mean, this is a win for the people. A win is a win. So here's my experience, what happened before I explain. I'm just going to tell my story, what I know, and just a little bit of context, and then get into the implications, the nuts and bolts, and everything else in between, and what's next. So on Saturday night, I received a phone call from a very, 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 very credible source. Will not name my source, not going to name my source, not going to do that. But they told me, I know it's Christmas, but Merry Early Christmas. I know it's not Christmas, but I have a belated Christmas gift to tell you. And I said, what? They said, well, that arena you didn't want in Chinatown is not happening. I was like, now don't do that. They said, no. And then, I said, okay, well, what's up? They had told me that there was some backdoor negotiations and politicking, that some major players from the sports leadership team, we're talking commissioners and CEOs and all of those types of folks from various sports teams, gathered together with the support of Comcast, Spectator, and the Comcast leadership to forge a conversation to really nudge the 76ers to stay in South Philly. And that pressure, along with some deal breaking, more details will come. The 76ers did not leave. Now, when I got this information, I said, well, who knew what, who knew whatever. My source told me that city council members were informed on Saturday, that they knew Saturday. I said, well, why haven't anybody said anything? They said, everybody waiting for the mayor. This is the mayor. They're waiting for the mayor to say something. They waiting for the mayor to announce that they wanted to respect whatever. I said, well, surely the rest of the media is going to tip it off. They said, not really, because, everybody was just supposed to be mum's the word. I said, well, can I say something? They was like, well, it's true. And they gave some other receipts that I will never show the public. Let me just be very clear. But I had it. I had it. And I said to myself, okay, well, it's Saturday night. If you all remember where I was at Saturday night, I was at my Alpha Gala. I was in the moment. I'm like, look, I, want to enjoy my vacation, my work, my stuff. I'll do this in the morning. I bet when I wake up in the morning, I'll find out. So then we get to Sunday morning. I'm checking Google, I'm checking Twitter, I'm checking stuff, and I ain't hear anything. I was like, yo, no one is saying anything. They got back to me, my source, and it told me that like the Parker administration is feeling like they got egg on their face. That Sherelle Parker, the administration, is like furious, and that they're trying to figure out how to best communicate this to the public, like how they can just explain this, because it's no nice way to reveal this news. I mean, but that was what I was getting. They're trying to figure out how to address this, how to do it. It's a Sunday. Nobody wants the chaos. They're going to wait Monday. They're going to be a press conference. Initially, they were saying it was scheduled for 11 a.m. That there was going to be some announcements, some timelines, but they really wanted to not let this be something that goes out. I said, well, so no one's saying anything today? They said, I don't think so. I said, well, let me tell you something. So I first posted on my Instagram and on social and on Twitter as well. I just was like, let me put my feet in the water. Let me just dip my toe, because sometimes you're going to get other confirmations. But I said, look, you all know where I'm getting at with this. That I just said, you know what? I know enough that I should go out and just put out, you know what? There's something going on. And I said, y'all, I don't think the 76ers arena is happening. I'm sensing a major backpedal on the way. They'll be staying in South Philly in a new way. That's all I can say right now. That was how I originally posted this. And let me tell you something, y'all. If I ever say stuff like that, and you all know me by now, a lot of y'all have been following me for over 10 years of my career. Some of y'all for fast 5 years. Some of y'all came around when Justin Timberlake shit went down. But you all know how this goes. When I say that, that means I know something. I can't confirm it, but I know enough to feel comfortable to put it in the air. And I knew it, but I wasn't ready to, I don't know how I was going to implicate, whatever. Right after I posted that, somebody else very close to the deal messaged me and said, you're a great journalist, you know your shit. And I was like, bingo. And I will never say who that person is. But that person, that was it. Confirmed. Boom, 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 boom. And that's why quickly after that I was able to confirm it, because the person who had messaged me and texted me basically was a person that was a major stake player in this shit. And once they said that, I was like, oh, well, there you go. It is happening. It's done. And that's why I quickly followed up and broke it. And then once I broke it, you know how this goes, y'all. Everybody else who was connected in city council and everybody else wanted to spill the beans to me and tell me of the details. So for like basically 2 hours, I pretty much was sitting on a story and news that nobody else in the world had wanted to confirm. I was the only person. I was standing alone in the dark, 10 toes down, and was not nervous because I knew the truth, right? But everybody on the internet, of course, was talking their shit. You know how the internet do the trolls. And this year, I just don't give a fuck, because I'm just not giving. I'm not giving myself to that. I'm just not. And so, everybody's calling me a liar. People are contacting my husband, trying to figure out, what this, that, and the third. People texting my friends. Other reporters are talking shit about me to other people. The petty shit, because I see and know everything. Won't text you and call you and let you know, but I see and hear everything, right? So they're all talking their shit. And it's like that side shit where it's like they're hitting certain people up being like, he's crazy, right? And there's no response. Like people was hitting up the 76ers people, like the consultants for 76ers is like, Ernest is full of shit, right? Right. Right. And nobody was saying anything. And then people was like, yo. So then there was something that got in my DM was like, that's a very ballsy ass statement you're saying. Who's your sources? Like, please, I ain't telling you no shit. I said what I said. I'm standing on it. And everybody was like, oh shit. Like, he's just like, how does he have, like, who is he? I'm like, why are we, am I not a top journalist in this city? Have I not reported and broke big stories? Have I not? I mean, do I have to name some of the biggest stories that I have dropped? I don't know. Helen Gim at the Union League, when she was running a week after she had protested them. Jeff Brown talking about a lynching, and I had the video footage of that, which pretty much torpedoed his campaign. There's many things that I have done and broke and have revealed, and don't know why we're acting like this is the first time I've ever not, right? So people play with me like that. And I just, at a certain point, it's just racial bias for me. It's paternalism, it's elitism, it's all of the things. But like, there's many journalists that do not look like me that have said stuff and people just believed it because, sorry to tell it to you, but because they're white. Like, there are people that literally said, I'm going to wait for so-and-so to say this before I believe it. Why? What makes this person better than me when I've had more years of experience than said person, or just as many years of experience as said person? I'm not going to name names. I'm going to be respectful because I don't necessarily know if it's their fault. They just benefit from white privilege, the reporters. So I'm not trying to throw them under the bus. But like, there are certain times where there are people who are in this space, in this industry with me, where I have been around much longer. I have deeper sources, connections to the communities to which I cover. I am in those city council buildings much longer than they have been around many years. I know the communities to which voters vote. And when people have tried to make predictions about certain races and certain circumstances, I've been able to contextualize why those things are the way they are. But the gag is that I have to be perfect. I have to be twice as great. So sometimes I can't have a misplacement or assessment or something. It's so interesting because all the white liberals and politicos that get on my ass, they'll always bring up the fact that I had initially said that it was swaying in Josh Shapiro's favor for the VP pick. Here's the thing about that, which I don't go into it with them about it because I just feel like the real politicos and real people who know that situation, know how politics works, understands why it's not a gotcha with that. Because here's the thing about politics. Things can be going in one way, and in one night, it can all change. What I will tell people and what I will say about that and move the fuck forward is that Josh Shapiro was definitely going to be the VP pick. And then some things and some conversations happened within 48 hours before that announcement that changed it. And all I will say is, see y'all in book 2, because we'll be talking about something about it. Hint, hint, hint. Leaving that alone, because I'm just dropping bombs today and this week because people want to play. Let's just be clear. When it comes to personal decisions, when it comes to people, yeah, people can wake up one day and say, I pick somebody, I support this, I support that, and then pivot. And you can definitely, and if anybody was really following that, you can see how that shit changed within hours. If you think Tim Walz was like who she was going with all along, wrong. And if you thought that I thought she should pick Josh Shapiro because that's what it was going, no. If you heard me carefully, I was saying that Walz really was the person that she should pick. I personally thought that Walz was the person. I personally liked Walz. I just also recognize that the Democratic Party oftentimes plays safe. And that there were some things that transpired
in 48 hours that took Josh out. And I will even go as far to tell you that maybe Josh was the reason why Josh was not picked. Because maybe to a certain extent, maybe Josh didn't want it at a certain degree because of all the bloodbath and all the scrutiny and all the shit he was getting. I'm just saying. I may be talking too much, but real politicos who was connected to that campaign knows I'm not lying. Period. And everybody else who just likes to just pick on little things that don't understand politics and don't understand how to cover politics will always jump to the gotcha moments when shit is not like that. Now let's fast forward. Now that we've addressed that, let's fast forward to this. Deals, contracts, like booked, planned things, yeah, there's no pivot from that. If the arena, the 76ers thing, I put that out there and I was wrong, yeah, I would have been fucked. But that's only if I did not actually have the actual confirmations. When it comes to VP pick, the only person who can really move her mind or change it was who that candidate was. When we're talking about a deal that involves different players and different moves, that's a little bit different. And I'll get to why I think this deal happened, but I just want to lay the parameter around that. But nonetheless, I've seen other white reporters who have, gotten it wrong based off of a source, based off of something that switched. It happens, but they're given a double standard of grace. Black journalists are expected to be perfect, and even when they don't necessarily do it right the first time or something happens, what happens to us? We always get completely like, oh, none of the times you got it correct. Most of the times when you actually called it, yeah, we're going to skip all that because we're going to hamper on something that happened a year ago. But, that's how they do. So, yeah, it was dark for like 2 hours. And of course, my followers, you all, my listeners, community, was passing and saying, no, I believe Ernest. No, he ain't gonna say this if there's something here. And then hours later, the Inquirer does their breaking, even though it wasn't breaking because it was already broke. But, I guess it was breaking to them, it's all subjective, that the deal wasn't happening. And then everybody, it was chaos. It was like, everyone was like, wait, whoa. It was just like, everybody was like, huh? What? And I just remember just the double standards of it all where people had to come back. But then there was shady shit happening. There were other people in the industry that was trying to say things like, first rumored by Ernest Owens. First rumored? Why is it a rumor when I had said it? I am a journalist. I've been covering the 76ers arena for a while now. How come you're saying first rumored? You got the wrong R word. It's first reported by Ernest Owens. It wasn't a rumor. I didn't say word on the street. I said confirmed. I said breaking. I said, like, what the fuck? Like, I'm confused. What makes what the white reporter said to be more confirmed than what I said when I'm a reporter out here and I'm disseminating this information? But again, double standards, right? Because the nature of treating me as a blogger, like I'll tell you, the racism of the Philadelphia Inquirer, like you notice that in their article, like several articles, national outlets have respectfully attributed the fact that this was first reported by me. You all have seen those resources. You've seen it. The Inquirer, because they are a racist institution that has repeatedly dismissed the voices of Black reporters and others who have given sources, who have gathered information, they oftentimes do not properly attribute. I remember when the story came out about Jeff Brown, that there was a tussle when they came to me about the information with the video, and they could not, literally, they wished, they did not want to acknowledge that it came from me. Where they literally tried to find that video from so many other sources. They could not get that video outside of me. And so they literally did the bare minimum to try to acknowledge that I was the first to report it. They framed it in a way of saying they just did the most, but they could not deny it because there was no other origin to which they would have had the information. And to be honest, the same happened here. There was no tip. There was nothing. I stood there and put that out there. And what that did was that made every reporter in Philadelphia be triggered to go, alert, alert, alert. Let me call my sources. Let me sniff around. And then they had to back up everything that was already put out there. Again, other national outlets simply said they got this first from me, and then everything else preceded it. So first it was what I said and what I reported, and then it was the Inquirer, and then it was everybody else. But they couldn't go that far without going to the source. That's what national outlets do. That's what non-racist newsrooms do. We don't just act like, oh, and there were many other outlets that embedded my tweets, embedded my initial reporting and everything, which is fine, right? But they acknowledge the source. The Inquirer would have you thinking, if you don't know, if it was on the internet, they would have you thinking that like, oh, they Columbused it, because they Columbus a lot of stories. And like, to be honest, I could go down a list of how they have disenfranchised Black voices and reporters and journalists in this city for years. I mean, they've done this a lot where they will just aggregate and all that. They've done it to several other people in this town. I'm just going to say that today on January 12th, when it happened to me, when I first dropped it, that because of my visibility and my platform, other people called it out. And they got in those comment sections. I respect y'all tagging me and just being like, yo, Ernest, they know. Everybody knows. The reporters know too. If they had, if they had any self-respect, they would just give props. Etiquette. Just be like, or acknowledge it, right? That's just what people would do. Maybe they would like to. Maybe their editors are being hard-ass, because let's be clear. I'm still the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists president, and we all know that the publisher there does not like my organization. Our organization is clashing. So there's a lot of bias because of the fact that I've called them out for issues around discrimination and racism at their institution. So I am persona non grata to them. But at the end of the day, if you're going to do journalism, whether you like me or not, you still got to acknowledge the fact that I was the one who had the scoop. Period. Just gonna put that there. Because at a certain point, it's just what you do. And so if it's just like anybody who does their craft, their field, or whatever like that, is dirty. And at the end of the day, I'm looking at everybody in that situation a little funny, because at the end of the day, you know what it is and you know what it's about. You got your byline on, that's cool. But what woke y'all up as an alarm clock? What got y'all up? What got y'all up getting on this and feeling like y'all had to dot your I's and cross your T's and get on it? Oh, okay. Because while y'all are getting these salaries to do this and work on this and get 5,000 co-writers and editors and people write on the story, one person was on a train to Philadelphia from Queens with a cell phone putting information out there. Welcome to journalism in 2025, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I'm saying. I'm not waiting for traditional media. I'm not waiting for mainstream media. I mean, we can work together, but I'm not going to not build it. Because at this point, journalists, credible journalists, have to have their own platforms. They have to understand how to communicate and get out their information to the public and let the people be informed. Because at the end of the day, it's about people being informed. That's what I'm about. That's what this podcast is about. I don't charge you all for it, but that's what this podcast is about. It's about giving people the information, giving people the inside scoop. If you have been listening to Ernestly Speaking for several weeks now, raise your hand. Okay, thank you. You will know that the breadcrumbs has always been aligned to this moment. And that I have been making these points and laying the foundation for what just happened for several weeks. So don't act like I just woke up and got lucky. Because clearly the people came to me. No shade. They didn't go to you. They didn't go to they didn't go to y'all. They came to me. There's a reason why. Because people know that I'm going to give the message and not play hopscotch with some of this. And I'm not talking about reporters. I'm just saying sometimes people do not want to talk to certain publications because of their history. Let's just call a thing a thing. Some people don't trust certain media outlets. And that's not the fault of the reporters per se, but just the history of the outlet. And so I know there are some good, talented reporters who've worked at various outlets in this city. And I want to be very clear when I say this, that they may have had people work with them in the past, but they may not communicate with them now because of how much they have a disdain for them. And I'm speaking specifically about the Philadelphia Inquirer. So, where you work can come with that. I've been there, not the Inquirer, but I've worked I write for places that people don't have the best thoughts about sometimes. As a Black journalist, at the end of the day, I tell my sources all the time, like, I have to make a living. I have to work. Unfortunately, the media desert is very hard in Philly. And as you all can see, I'm working to diversify and build and uplift new outlets and publications. The Philly Download, other places, but just working to build platforms and opportunities, right? But that takes time. We're going against dinosaurs. So it's the way the world works. But I just wanted to put that context on that. So let's talk about what's this, right? What's going on here? What is being currently reported, what's being said, and then what are the implications and everything else? So what I will say is first is that what's out there now is that the 76ers place is staying. There is potentially going to be a new arena that will be there, and they will stay in the sports area complex. They're staying in South Philly. Market East is dead. Now, according to Squilla, the deal, this is Councilmember Squilla, Mark Squilla, there will still be resources that will go towards supporting Chinatown or helping Chinatown or whatever like that, regardless of the fact that there will be. So that's not out the window. There is still a commitment or support that's going to help Chinatown regardless of whatever the hell is happening there. So I've heard that there will still be the Chinatown's resources to support Chinatown will still be at play regardless of all the other politics is what I've been told. Apparently there will be plans for Market East from Comcast and other partners involved that they will be a part of helping to revitalize Market East. So it is not like it's going to just like go away and everyone's like, fuck it. But there's no idea. Like, as of right now, there's no commitments on what exactly that looks like. But what we do know is that the fashion district and all those, the demolition and all that, that's not happening. So there will be some revitalization, but it will not be anything as, from what I'm gathering, as epically massive or as problematic as the arena. So that is a good thing. So there is going to be plans. And I think, as you all remember, Comcast has always had ideas and plans to do something, wanting to do something over their Market East. So in many ways, that is still happening. But we don't have any specifics on what that looks like. But all we do know is, at least for now, that the 76ers place, as we know it, is no more. What we also know is the community benefits agreement that was all the political capital expended, that's up in the air. That's not, there's no new deal. There's none of that. That's all finito, toast, it's done. So that's not happening anymore. Now, you all know I felt like it was a crappy deal from the jump, and a lot of people did. But now, pretty much, that deal doesn't even matter anymore because now Comcast and everybody involved has worked out a deal over in South Philly that does not require all of the political negotiating from the mayor and all that. So pretty much property is property. Deals are being done. It doesn't require a community benefits agreement anymore. We'll get back to that in a minute on that because I have some thoughts about that. What else we know is that it seems like the billionaires are all cool now. Comcast and Adelman and all the other neighbors over there. You got the Link. You got all this other stuff. It's looking good. There is speculation that Comcast and 76ers or somebody over there is working to allegedly get the WNBA over. So there might be plans to, I guess, share this new arena potentially with 76ers and the WNBA, a WNBA team. So there might be a possibility that there will be bigger expansion and that there's going to be some work to lure the WNBA involved in this as well. That's still speculative, but that's also what I've been hearing as well, that there's going to be some new teams and some new energy, but all that energy is coming to South Philly again rather than Market East. So you get what you follow what I'm getting, you're getting what I'm getting, okay? Just want to lay out the reality. A lot of people was like, well, what's going to happen? Is there going to be new, whatever? So there's some stuff that is at play right now. But there's going to be a lot of money made. I mean, we could potentially see all-star games. We could see, I mean, if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities for all-star games, other deals that might work because you got, Adam Silver, you got other people involved, that there might be some other festivities happening to really revitalize and reboost South Philly and keep that sports fever there. Again, Market East, there's still a question mark on what's coming, but there are commitments and there's interest from, again, the big stake developers involved to do some work, to put some investment and put some things there, but it's just not going to be arena. So now that I laid down the main facts and the main information and insight that has been coming out, let's talk about what the fuck this really meant. Okay. So for starters, I kind of told everybody, like, why are y'all believing billionaires? Like, did y'all not listen to the people? Did y'all not listen to the Chinatown activists? Did y'all not listen to, like, most Philadelphians? Like, this is a sigh of relief for a lot of Philadelphia. Like, we're just like, like, it's a miracle. We're so happy, right? Because for a while, we were just like, this does not make sense. There's got to be a better way. And remember the entire time, these several weeks, I kept saying for months that there needed to be an alternative and that something in my gut did not tell me that this was going to happen, that there were things that did not sit well with me that further told me that this was just not looking good. And one big indicator for me, which I talked about, was SEPTA. And remember the last episode, at the end of season 7, I was talking about the SEPTA problem. And that never got clear to me in this deal. This deal was so rushed that no one ever talked about, okay, when state funding? Because they're not going to get city funding, but what about the state funding? And everybody was like, well, what you mean? What you mean? I was like, there's something about this state funding that's not sitting well with me. And Shapiro reaffirmed, y'all, at the end of this past week, that there will be no state funding for this new Sixers arena. He said that. He literally said that in Philadelphia, he said, in Philadelphia, he literally said that he hopes that the 76ers arena being built in Market East will provide, quote, greater economic opportunity for the area. But he continued to say there will be no state funding. So who was going to ever foot the bill on the SEPTA shit? Who was going to pay that bill? Who was going to ever pay the bill to do all those improvements? Because it was very clear that the 76ers folks was not interested in really doing that work to improve it. So I always felt like in the back of their mind, they thought, okay, if the city throws in this alley hoop, then they'll get the state to follow up in Shapiro. But Shapiro, to be honest with you, I think he never was a fan of the 76ers arena being in Market East. I don't think he ever was a fan. If you, like I said, on my show, I've been talking about little details. Like I remember when, he made a remark about Ryan Boyer, who was the building trades leader, Philadelphia building trades leader, business manager, that, he acknowledged that he saw him with the 76ers hat, because Ryan has been wearing that 76ers hat and wearing that gear up and down, trying to soft nudge and flex. And, we're going to go there too, but I'm trying to get to the reporting part before I get into the analysis and the shade. But Shapiro has been acknowledging and been gesturing that he doesn't really care about this arena, or that he really isn't either way. I mean, whatever is whatever. But as far as the state interest, they didn't have a fiscal interest in it. That was a red flag to me. Also, I never bought into the whole they're going to go to Jersey argument, because Camden does not have the capacity, and it was never a thing to begin with. Camden was never going to happen. All this, they're going to go to Jersey, we got to keep them here. That was all a pump fake. And shame on Isaiah Thomas, council member Kenyatta Johnson. Kenyatta Johnson and Isaiah Thomas. But really shame on Isaiah Thomas for really fueling that rhetoric. Because if he's as smart as he says he is, and I do think he's a smart guy, but I just think he made a dumb decision here, why would you fall for the cap? Like, that's cap. That's cap. That's cap. CAP, cap. Like, why would you even, like, he put out this letter talking about we need to keep the stadium arena here. I'm like, oh, it is here. In South Philly, holla, like, please. Like, the whole time, you're like, oh, we gotta have it. If it's not in Marquinese, it's never gonna be here. And they played in your face, ha ha. Like, seriously. First of all, I know there's people listening, it's like, I know he was gonna go in. Yes, I'm going in. I am talking my shit. I had to hear this shit. I had to sit here. I am popping off. Welcome to 2025. Welcome to season 8. I've been waiting for this moment. Y'all heard what I said in the season finale. I said I was going to give the mayor 1 year. She had grace. It's her first year. Well, guess what? It's year 2. Everybody got to do their big one. It's time for me and the people to do their big one. Chinatown, stand up. Because this is the moment we've been waiting for. Because now I'm going to say a lot of things I didn't say that now I can say because goddamn the deal is done. Okay? So now I'm going to tell y'all the real extra tea that I couldn't say because I couldn't, there was just some stuff I had to keep embargoed. That's just what it is. But now I can say some stuff because the deal is done. First of all, what I don't appreciate from a lot of members of city council is that they're acting like they've been bamboozled by these billionaires. They were not bamboozled by these billionaires, okay? Let's be clear. They knew the deal was trash. It was never about making a good deal because it was never about reviewing the deal. It was about doing what they were told, okay? And the two people that steered that was the mayor and Ryan Boyer at the building trades, okay? This is what Ryan wanted because Ryan may have been bamboozled by the billionaires. I tell them all the time that y'all playing a game y'all don't know how to play. They say it's chess, not checkers. Y'all's playing Connect 4. I mean, I'm going to say it because y'all, all that talk, leadership. Well, let me tell y'all what common sense looks like, okay? Because y'all was flexing and throwing your shots, and now it's time to provide the chaser with the shot. So let's go. First of all, this was done off of the fear of retaliation. There was bullying and intimidation to get these members of city council to whip up these votes, okay? And I'm not excusing Council President Kenyatta Johnson in this. The triumphant, okay? The 3, okay? The triple 3. It is the mayor, Ryan Boyer, Council President. The 3 of them, the leadership, okay, pushed for this arena with Down City Council. There were members of City Council, which, by the way, I'm not giving them a pass because leadership means you buck up if you're a leader. So none of these people that voted in favor of the arena are leaders in this situation to me. They were followers. They did what they were told because they were afraid of the narratives that were being said. The narratives of, if you didn't support this arena, then you are anti-union. That was the label that they was threatening and intimidating members of city council with. There were district council members that have told me before this that they had the fear that certain resources and funding wasn't going to their district in the budget based on their decisions. That's why you saw a lot of at-large people versus district people take a stand. The only 2 district city council members that voted against this was Jay Young and Jamie Gauthier. Everybody else was at large. Nick and Kendra and Rue were the 3 that were at large. The other 2 were district. Everybody else voted in favor of the arena. And a lot of them did because they did fear retaliation from the administration, from the powers that be. Period. They were scared. These members of council were scared, but they were cowards. And I just have to say it. They were cowards. A lot of them did it because they were afraid that union was going to turn against them. They were afraid to be vilified by Ryan Boyer. They were afraid to be under the scorn of the mayor, and they were afraid to be, really sacked by the council president. Like, let's not act like power does not breed intimidation and fear. Like, let's be clear. That's what was happening. And there were members of council that low-key did not think this was a good deal. They knew it wasn't a good deal, and they voted for it anyway because they did not have the courage. They didn't have the faith. But they call themselves Christians. They say God Almighty. They say all this stuff. But they didn't have the faith. The faith. Okay? The faith that it was going to work itself out. So they played their hand. They played their hand. They played their hand. They didn't believe in the people. They did not believe in community. They compromised and spent their political capital amongst political players over the people. The people told them not to do this. The constituents told them not to do this. They said no, and they said yes. Now, on behalf of the people before it, the 76ers campaign was trash. The people that advocated in front of it was compromised. And let me explain what I mean by compromise. They were compromised in the sense that they were sold snakes oil. They were paid, they were given incentives, they were given all kind of shit to support a deal that they thought was going to give them something, so they supported it. They betrayed their constituents, they betrayed their community, they betrayed the people. They did it in their best interest, and they did it because they feared. And I get it, right? Because if they didn't support it, then they feared that this was going to be retaliation in other departments and other ways. And if you notice, for supporting it, they were incentivized all kind of things. All these Chinatown buildings being fearful and being not given opportunities and being left in the queue of opportunities for licenses and registrations and if you talk to these Chinatown business owners, my God, we got to give them props. They literally stood there in fire. These people were getting all types of backsided hassles by the city while this was going on. They operated in fear because of the fact, and their city council members did not have the backbone to support them. Debbie and all of them at China, the stuff that they went through to get into city council, the way that they were arrested and escorted out, the berating and the intimidation by the sheriff's people and the police, they went through hell. And people sat there and knew that they were right. And sat there and pretended like they were shocked. They knew. And all those members of city council that voted in favor of this, do not let them sit up here and act like they were a victim like we are. They were not. They knew, and they voted in their own political interest over the people. All of them. And if they want to come to me with some smoke and get an attitude, I will look them in the face and say, tell me, where is the lie? You don't have to like what I say, but you can't dismiss and discount and discredit what I say. Because I have the receipts. I have the receipts. And if anybody want to say I'm lying, come see me. Because I will show you where you had me fucked up at. And I will show you where you lied. Because every single meeting, every single dinner, every single fundraiser, you can find out for yourself why they knew and how they knew. I will tell you why they vote the way they did. I can go line by line on why each of those members of council vote the way they did. Don't make me pull your card. Your best bet is to shut up. Your best bet is to be quiet. Your best bet is to just sit there and hold that L with humility. Because what you're not going to do anymore. This is the year of revelation and truth. 2025 is the year of revelation and truth. 2025 is the year where people like me open my mouth and say what needs to be said and dare you. It means telling the truth even if it makes you tremble. Because we are at a place where if we don't say nothing, these people will fail us. It is time for the free press to act like the free press. It is time for journalists to speak truth to power. It is time for activists and organizers to unify and really get serious about what the demands are. It is time for voters to vote responsibly. It is time for the people to reclaim their time and their money and their votes and their power, and remind them that nothing in this city goes through without the people. The people did not want this arena, and city council knew the people did not want the arena, and they chose it because that's what they do. So anytime in history, the arc of justice, it will bend, it will take time, but it will get there. And it got there very, very fast. So I just want to start off by just saying, don't let them fool you. Do not let them lie to you. They all knew what they signed up for. They chose it anyway because they didn't feel like they had a choice. But they did. They had the same choice that Kendra Brooks, Nicholas O'Rourke, Rue Landau, Jamie Gauthier, and Jay Young had. They had the same choice. It took a lot of courage for some of those members of council, like Jay Young, a new elected freshman in council, whose seat is very vulnerable. But he did not give a fuck because he knew it was not right. I just admire the courage. And I'm happy that they got that victory, because what would have happened to them for the next couple of years for taking that stand, my goodness. But it's time for voters to come out and observe it and pay attention to how the messaging is going to flip. I'm already seeing it in the press. Harity is talking about, I feel, bamboozled or betrayed. He feels like he's a pawn, he said. A pawn. You was a pawn before the 76ers arena people pulled out. Y'all was pawns from day one. Everybody's upset about, there's money that's supposed to go to kids. The problem I've been saying is that if this does not happen, what will be the solution? And what happened? What happened? What's going to happen? Are y'all going to support the kids still? Are you going to find resources to help the kids? Are we going to still find these kids jobs? We can find them jobs now. You can demand the billionaires to make investments in public education and resources now. We don't got to wait till 2032 or 31 or whatever. We could do this right now. Oh, okay. Just checking, because everybody act like this was the only do or damn decision. Looks like we have plenty of opportunities. Look like billionaires, because billionaires hold all this capital. Looks like billionaires can get it together faster than our elected officials can. They found a way in. So let me tell you my theory. I'm going to tell you my theory. This is my theory, and a lot of people have entertained similar theories. This is my theory that I entertained prior to this podcast episode. So for those who've been following, this shouldn't be a foreign concept. Okay, my theory. So I've always said that this was a pissing contest between these billionaires. That this was never about, community. It was never about trying to revitalize Market East. It was always about a pissing contest over billionaires who wanted to stake claim to property over there in South Philly. This was a billionaires fight in South Philly. And that's what drove it, right? What became the issue was that Comcast was not trying to budge in the ways in which they wanted to. And I always said throughout this process, what about Comcast? Comcast has something to say. Comcast has a dog in this fight. This cannot happen without Comcast. Where is Comcast support? If Comcast don't support this, it can't happen. That something about this was just not right, that we was underestimating and undermining the role of Comcast. I have said that from the very beginning. People who have followed this from me knows. I've always said, where is Comcast in this? And when I found out and realized that Comcast was not a fan, I've always thought to myself, this is weird, because the consequence of pissing Comcast off is too damn high for the city to afford. And so I always knew that if there was anyone who could stop this, since our city council does not have a backbone, I guess you got to fight billionaires and billionaires, right? Because I guess that's the same thing with Donald Trump, right? Unfortunately, in America, because America is so sexist, a woman cannot defeat Donald Trump. Only, clearly, not a white woman or a black woman or a South Asian woman, right? Only a white man could have defeated Trump. That's what we realized. This country is what we realized. Knowing history, the only thing that could have stopped the billionaires was another billionaire. You got to fight what you fight with. You got to fight power with power. And to my logic, it became clear to me that city council was never going to have the backbone, because city council just is bought by billionaires, right? So they pick the poison. Either it's going to be the 76ers arena people. It's either going to be, whoever, right? That corporations are going to make these decisions because this city just bends to them, because I guess they feel like the city's too poor to empower elected officials to do the right thing. I mean, clearly that's not the case for 5 members of city council, but clearly it's for the rest of the 12. So yeah, ouch, 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 ouch. But you know what? What y'all was about to do to Chinatown was a big old punch in the face. So fuck y'all and your feelings, because y'all didn't think to yourself, ouch, on fucking Chinatown over. But I'll move on. So you get to this weird point where, okay, you recognize billionaires around billionaires. The loophole for me is that I believe that that there's a part of me that believes two things. There's a part of me that the 76ers want to explore the option because they were like, well, Comcast ain't budging, so we might actually have to find a way to get this done. And they explored the option to the highest degree. But one thing that they kept saying throughout the hearing was, one, they never budged on anything. Like, you notice that the deal never made them commit to a sweet deal? That was a red flag. The second was they kept saying they want the option. Like, if we decide. I was like, why are you talking in this questionable tone? Why does not sound more declarative? It never sounded permanent for them. It's like being in a situationship where you with somebody and they're like, we together, right? Yeah, I'm feeling you, but you mine, right? I'm yours tonight. We go together. We're cool. They could never confirm. They were in this situationship with the city, pretty much. Like, it was never a hard, aggressive, declarative sense, right? Like, I never got, all of the energy. You know what I'm saying? It never was that kind of flavor that we never did. And it's very telling that there was that kind of energy right now. That there's so many people that really did not acknowledge or come to terms with this reality. That it just didn't, like, in other words, it just did not seem to me like this was set in stone, if that makes sense. It didn't feel like this was a guaranteed win-win buy. And so for those reasons, that's what stood out to me the most. That's what shook me the most, was just the reality that none of this was ever feeling like it was confirmed. As much as city council were, the 76ers were never that bold. They never really, even the dimensions, like if you think about it, right? The layout, the plan, everything about it just always felt like, as one person put it that spoke at the hearings, they said it was a concept of a plan. Which still sticks to me. It was genius. This was at the hearings. It was always a concept of a plan. It never felt fully fleshed out. Like right now, I can't speak too much, but I'm working on a big event that I want to do this year in Philly. I have all types of stuff. Like, I got the layout, I got the plan, I got the dates, I got the location, I got the speakers, I got all this stuff laid out, right? Look at me telling it already. But I got a plan, right? I'm looking at the 76ers plan. I just don't see enough details. And this is why I tell people, you cannot give a red carpet. City council was so pressed and so thirsty. You cannot give a red carpet They gave them the way that they gave it. They literally, I'm trying to be appropriate with my metaphors, but they pretty much gave them the belt to spank them. Like, it was like the way that they were on all fours. It was just like you all sat there like a dog and was looking for a bone. Like, y'all sat there and was like, okay, at the becking call. It was like the 76, like y'all was on their deadline. And I kept saying, why do we have this deadline? Remember, that was the $1 million question, was like, why does this deadline have to be done? Because at the end of the day, the deadline was really probably about the negotiations between Comcast and everybody else, so they could figure out how they wanted to pivot. And the 76ers never played their full hand. They never played their full hand because that's what billionaires do. They don't give a fuck about the community. They're going to prioritize themselves. They literally was like, look, let's put up the biggest fight we can. And let's leverage enough power to scare the fuck out of the Comcast. So they leveraged the power. They leveraged political power to get these people to be in on this joke. And it was obvious that they yielded it and wielded it to basically come back to the table, put their dick on the table and say, yeah, so look what we got. And then, of course, Comcast, being strategic, was like, but yeah, look at the governor. The governor is like not going to give you all that money. So how are you going to pay for that? Also, let's be real. We're going to pull some shit out too, and we're going to fuck you all. And the city will be fucked, and you're going to have to end up paying for other things you're not expecting on. So what are you going to do, friend? Because it looks like you have no other choice but to come back home. But you got us. You got us. You got us. Like, you got us. Like, we were impressed by how far you went with this charade. I must say, kudos to you. I'm just hypothetically I'm being metaphorical about how Comcast said this to them. Like, I'm just exchanging a dialogue here. Like, Comcast is probably like, we admire your effort here. Now it's time to come home. And you know what? We got some other friends here. NFL, come to the table, y'all. These teams, sit here. We want you to come home. We see what you did, but we also see what's going to happen. And you already know what's going to happen. So we figured out a better deal for you so you can come home and it's okay. And they took the deal. And everyone was like, well, what about Philadelphia City Council? We'll handle that later, boo-boo. Just come home. And you can afford it, but it was a nice try. But we'll take care of Philly politics later. They'll be all right. They'll be mad, but we got you. Ding. And guess what? The community loves Comcast for doing it. Thank you, Comcast, for settling down Adelman and, thank you. We appreciate it. For now, thank you for this. I guess sometimes, no good deed goes unpunished. Thank you, Comcast. So, moving along to the implications, because now we got to get into the implications of this shit, right? Beyond this, right? So, in other words, that's my theory. My theory is that it appears to me that the 76ers place was trying to broker a better deal, that Market East may have been an option, but it really wasn't their top option. It was really their last resort. And that they got further enough and ahead to be able to stay back, but they had to figure out what to do with the deal. And Comcast, of course, wanted what they wanted, and now there's a win-win for all of them, because now there's going to be money that's going to now come to Comcast, and they found a lucrative deal that's going to get them more money than they would have had prior. So everybody's going to win. The billionaires are going to win, and they've won in that regard. And you know what? I mean, it is what it is, right? Right. So let's go back home to Philadelphia, because at the end of the day, these billionaires, I mean, should we expect more from them? Should we expect them to do all the things they're supposed to do? No, negative, not really. So let's get back to the people we elected, because we didn't hire Brian Roberts. We didn't hire Adelman. We didn't hire those people. Who do we hire? City Council. Let's get back to City Council, the mayor's administration, all of them. Okay, because those are the people that we hold accountable. We the people. So let's go back to them. Let's go back home. So yeah, what do you got to say for yourselves? How do you explain this? Because you was all about to sell us out and screw over our communities. And you expect us to believe that you won't do it again? Yeah, we know who you all are. Y'all have showed y'all hands. Y'all have showed us how weak y'all are. Y'all showed us how y'all will bend. Y'all also showed us how gullible you all are. Because for all the talk about the being for the people, you all basically did not listen to the people. Because everybody told you all in some variation that this was not a good deal. And you was willing to take a fucked up deal over the concerns of your community for your own political interests. And you basically are like, okay, Comcast rules the city, but you know what? I also didn't want Big Union to run the city in this type of way either. So, it's like we're in this really interesting place. Who runs the city? Is it billionaires or is it unions or is it somewhere in between? Because clearly it's not government running it for the people, or clearly they don't want the people to run it. So I don't really know who to believe outside of the people in the communities I serve. But all I know is all these people that did that tap dancing, that shucking and jiving, oh my goodness, how embarrassing is it for you all? And what are you going to do? Are you going to listen to us more? Are you going to really stick it to them? Are you going to reprioritize the funding pool of which you get your money and fund your campaigns? Like, what's next? Because there's got to be a moment for what's next. And I'm going to let you know that I'm going to talk about the major players involved in this. The Parker administration, yeah, this is not a good look for the mayor. I would even argue that maybe somebody might try to run against her. Maybe this might be the first time in Philly politics in a long time that we might have a serious competitor to try to challenge the mayor for a second term if the mayor chooses to run a second term. So that's interesting. The second thing is Council President Kenyatta Johnson. I mean, what a villain. What a villain. Because you had the power as the council president to shift council in a different direction outside the mayor. But you didn't. You actually leaned into it further and did the bidding very outwardly about who you're in bed with politically to make things happen. And clearly you don't care what the people want. You care what Boyer wants. And I've always said that Boyer was either the council president or the mayor or a deputy version of those two, right? As far as Boyer goes, I don't think he's the bad guy as much in this situation. He yields the power, but his power can be challenged by elected officials. So here's the thing. I think at the end of the day, as a union boss, as a labor boss, I do feel like Ryan Boyer, to a certain extent, is going to always prioritize it. He's almost like a billionaire, but he's not a billionaire. But he's always like, in many ways, his focus, he has a private interest. Like private interest is going private interest. To me, it's the responsibility of elected officials in the public sector, right? Elected officials, right? To humble them, to say, okay, here's what we can compromise on and here's what we can't compromise on. But you just can't always just bend over and just let them, take control of everything. And I think that's the issue with city council. It's like there's no backbone, there's no checks and balances. And so the lack of accountability is what irks me in so many ways. And that's been frustrating to watch because it's like, well, damn, like nobody, nobody is going to be able to believe you now. So yeah, I think Ryan Boyer will be all right. I mean, some of the stuff he has said, he's going to have to. And the thing about him is I think he will probably be the most honest and open and transparent about how he feels and about how he was suckered and also just how, he will probably be the most openly honest. Ryan will be probably he'll be the most, I think, real about it. I mean, this is definitely a major blow. After what appeared to be a very bold and stellar year for Sherelle Parker, has now turned into a nightmare because from what I've heard from sources, her office is in crisis mode. They don't know how they're going to be able to articulate this. I just think it's just being honest. I think it's about just being vulnerable and being real about maybe the pursuit and desperation of trying to bring change to the city. I feel like that's the best way to move, in my opinion. I mean, that's what I would do. In my opinion, that's what I would do if I was her. That's my take. I mean, that's what I would do if I was in her shoes. Yeah, I would do that. But, who knows? Other city council members, Isaiah Thomas, I think Isaiah Thomas might be the biggest one that will also take a hit because he definitely carried the water for the 76ers. he definitely carried the rhetoric of the 76ers, and he was their mascot. And it was a betrayal to progressives and others who thought he would do better. But let's keep it 100. This man has aspirations to be the next mayor of Philadelphia. And he's been making politically strategic moves to try to advance him in ways that has come at the frustration of some of his base. And so I don't know how he picks up his face and go back to some of those political bases that he betrayed in some ways and be able to let them know that he's a different guy, because really I feel like this exposed people. Like, what happens when political capital and and the thirst for power enters the play? At this point, progressives are not going to be buying what Isaiah Thomas is selling. And a lot of the moderate base of people won't either. Now, he will like to point the finger and say, what about Kathy? What about this person? What about that person? Bro, you was the highest vote getter, and you were supposed to be somebody that was supposed to be different. Like, literally, people looked at you as a different type of Democrat within the establishment. But it's obvious that you are the establishment. You may try to act like you're not, but you're the establishment. And you've been in bed with them, and you've been the teacher's pet for Kenyatta Johnson because that's the way that you wanted to elevate yourself in power. We see it. And maybe, you thought that by doing these goodwill things, that would be an opportunity for you to elevate in a way for your own aspirations down the road. I don't say that his future as mayor is not possible, but he's definitely going to lose his ranking points as far as being a potential front runner. He's definitely not in the running as much. And I definitely think that unless he gets a hold of this and be honest or be vulnerable or never or reinvent how he moves in city council moving forward, it's not going to happen. As far as other city council members go, I don't really see. I mean, Squilla, I don't know if Squilla should run for re-election. I think he's going to retire at the end of this. I don't see him running for re-election after this. I don't know why he would. Other city council members, I mean, Nina Ahmad, I think some people in the community will look at her as a sellout. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying what I've heard. Because she is from the Asian community. And I think a lot of people did not understand why she voted the way she did. I think labor influenced her, but I also think that she should have been able to speak out, and she didn't. Who are the biggest winners, I would say, in this? Kendra Brooks is the biggest winner, I would argue, politically. As far as this is somebody who is the leader of the Working Families Party. She has been the most vocal. She's always been the one who stand on business. Nicholas O'Rourke, congratulations on being an upcoming dad. I think he's also next door to her. I think they're right. Both of them are the biggest winners. And their statement that they put out was just so powerful on Sunday that really explained this. Other winners in the Democratic Party, I would say Jay Young. I think that Jay Young will get endorsements and support from different people that's going to keep him reelected in his seat in the 5th district if he wants it again. I think that a lot of people are going to remember this moment when folks are questioning him. He's going to need a big, broad base of coalition support for his reelection. But I think in many ways with this is definitely going to make it a lot harder for folks that want to challenge him, because this man is going to get a broad base of support from different avenues outside of the party. So I think Jay definitely has some benefit. Gautier, there's been speculation that she might consider a mayoral run. I definitely think people will look at her and admire her and consider that. I don't know if mayor is it for her. I don't know that she has a real chance. But if she has aspirations and she wants to keep moving, these types of moves are definitely going to make her promising. I think Rue Landau is going to be great because the neighborhood is proud of her. A lot of folks in other parts of the community that was against this are going to respect Rue. I think Rue has the potential to really blossom even further in city council. And if no one's thinking about her and elevating her, the conversation starts now. So I definitely think that there are some major winners and losers in this ordeal. And it's interesting how the tables have turned based on them. So more will definitely be coming in the days to come. But as I always say, you heard it here first. Which brings me to my second part of city council. You all know that city council will return on Thursday, January 23rd. I will be there, of course, as the host of City Council Live on WRD Radio. 900 FM, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, progressive Black Talk Media. I'll be back on 10 a.m., same time, same place. You know where to go, right? So I will be there. One of the things that has been talked about that has not been formally proposed, but has been already introduced to the council, is Isaiah Thomas wants to put in an end to resign to run. Now, the details of resign to run have not fully come out, but he wants to eliminate resign to run because pretty much he wants to give elected officials like himself an opportunity to stay elected while running for other seats within city council, run for other seats. He has made comparisons to this to Harrisburg, talking about how state reps and state senators can run for seats and also not have to leave and quit. I disagree with him on that metaphor because if you actually think about state reps, they're running every 2 years for their seats. So if they lose or not, or whatever the case is, they will be dealt with by the voters if the voters don't like that. So, for example, Malcolm Kenyatta runs all the time, and voters can vote him out every 2 years to hold him accountable. That's not the case for city council. City council people running multiple races without the accountability of voters at the same time, I just feel like there's a problem there. And I'm getting to something here. The issue that I have with this, and I will not support this, is that where the fuck are term limits? You cannot allow a resign to run in a city council without factoring in term limits. So if there are like no serious term limits, then I'm not in favor of this. There has to be term limits to kill resign to run. You cannot give city council unlimited terms and also give them the ability to not resign to run, because that means that we're not going to have massive change on council. Let's picture this. This recent city council, there were several city council members that resigned to run, right? There was David O. There was Derek Green, Maria Canela Sanchez, Alan Dom, Helen Gim, Sherelle Parker. That's 6 members of city council that resigned to run. 6. As we all saw, only one person ran for mayor. One mayor out of the 6, and the other 5 had to find new jobs, which they did, and they're employed, and they're working, and they're fine. Look at that. Probably making more money than they did in city council, right? If we did not have that in place, we would have lost Jay Young. Well, Daryl Clark resigned, so we would have not had that. But we would have lost the votes of Rue Landau. We would have lost the votes of Nicholas O'Rourke, potentially. We would have lost 2 votes on city council, new voters, right? But we also would have lost some fresh voices and perspectives. And so I'm not sold on the resign to run thing. Because what it sounds like is a bunch of these city council members, like Isaiah Thomas, are looking forward to running after Sherelle Parker. Because what I've heard from close sources is that apparently when he drafts this bill, he's not going to put resign to run to happen in the upcoming mayoral's race. That apparently he will not put it into effect until after this upcoming mayoral election in Philadelphia. So this will be like in 2032, apparently, like 2032 election. So basically, Sherelle will most likely, I don't know now, the tides may turn, but pretty much the perception would be that mayors like Sherelle Parker and them will oftentimes not have incumbents. And so resign the run will allow, because again, who wants to run against a sitting incumbent mayor and sacrifice their job to do that? There's barely any mayors, barely any city council members. But my whole issue is, do we want a city council that keeps having mayors of city council? I feel like after city council becomes so weak, do we want a city council person to be the next mayor? Why can't the mayor be another person, some other department, some other space? Why do we want, I don't know. I just feel like we should have another type of mayor. I'm not saying Sherelle Parker has to go. Let me be very clear. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that for future mayors, why do we feel behoved to city council is the answer? So I'm not sold on that. And I do think that with everything that's happening, that maybe Isaiah might have to put that away and not bring that up right now. Because right now, nobody wants city council to have the ability to not resign and run. I think most of us want them to leave if they're going to go somewhere else. I don't think we want to keep them around making bad decisions while trying to aspire to higher offices. I just think right now there could have not been a more tone-deaf piece of legislation that was presented to city council. So that is my thoughts on that. This has been quite the season 8 premiere, but we keep moving. So now that we've moved on, politicos, I have to say this. Elected officials, I have to say this. My New Year's resolution to you all, is my resolution to you all is stop using those damn reels. Please, I beg of you. Get rid of the reels. Stop doing all these corny ass reels. Some of y'all reels are nice. Like, I'll give it to you. Like, I'll give it to look. The one who I will give credit to, I don't know if other people have done it, but the person that really has been consistent with the reels is State Representative Morgan Cephas. Hands down. She and her team, shout out to Chelsea Cox, okay? And happy belated Founders Day to you ladies, you devastating divas, you deltas. I want to say that they have been the ones that I think she has been the one who's done the reels really well. She's been consistent. She's been consistently well. She does them with the right music. She has the right look, the right energy. She just knows her cues. I feel like a lot of people that have been trying to do reels since her, some of them, it's just annoying or just not good or they're just not built for it. And it's just like, stop trying to stop. I feel bad. And also your staff, they just probably don't know how to do them really well. So I feel bad for them because they're forced to do something, because what y'all probably did was y'all saw Morgan's reel and then y'all took it and y'all just started sending it to y'all team. Something, we need this. We need this. It's like, yeah, but you got to also know who you're working with. Like, maybe your elected official is not the type of person that is interesting enough or has enough charisma or energy or believability that it will make sense. Because a lot of these videos looks like they're scripted. Another person whose reel annoys me, so an example of a reel that annoys me, right, is Kenyatta Johnson's reel. Like, his reels, I don't know. I just feel like it's a little too flashy, a little too posy, and it doesn't really feel like work is being done. It just feels like a very self-promote, like it borderlines like it's a campaign video. Like it's a campaign ad versus an actual, like, I'm doing work. It kind of feels a little too posy. Jordan Harris's have gotten better. I'll say that. His poses have gotten better. We like improvement. They've improved. When he first started doing them, I was like, oh my God, what is this copy? But he's gotten better with them. His has gotten better. I won't speak on other people's reels because I don't want to be too shady. But I'm not even being shady. I'm just being honest. I'm giving constructive criticism. But I would just say that, since we need to acknowledge it, I would say Chelsea Cox team through working on Morgan Cephas' reels, she did it best. But everybody and their mama trying to do them now, and I just need y'all to stop. Like, do something different. Like, be creative, but like that's just not it for some of y'all, for real. And y'all know who y'all are, because I see y'all every time on city council floor. How many times are y'all gonna block the entryway for folks to walk through? I ain't gonna name names, but I remember I was trying to get into city council one day because it was getting close to start. And this one person kept trying to walk in and out the door, and they had their person on the far end with the camera, and they kept telling people to move. I said, well, first of all, these need to look organic. So you shouldn't be telling people to move so this person can have this grand entryway. I'm just gonna leave it at that. It's not supposed to feel like a music video. And if you are going to do individual, like, solo videos and stuff, make sure nobody's in the crowd. Make sure it don't look like somebody sees somebody behind you and looks weird. Let your person know you got a camera on so they don't look weird and off in the camera and off-putting. I'm just saying. Just putting advice out there. Moving along. TikTok is dying. Y'all know I'm excited about this. Apparently, TikTok is considering potentially leaving the U.S. after many concerns about the threat of legislators, including the Supreme Court, agreeing with the decision. It looks like the Supreme Court allegedly is poised to basically support the ban, which means that TikTok will no longer be in the U.S. and will be gone. As you all know, I have a TikTok account, but I haven't used it in nearly 2 years. You know why? Some of y'all might know. I mean, TikTok is trash. The internet culture on there is extreme. I mean, it's really extreme. And there's just a lot of uncontrollable harassment that goes on TikTok, and a lot of theft, like ideas and stuff get stolen on there in ways that I'm not okay with. And also, it's not a U.S. owned company, and I don't really trust China, and just the way in which they've been shady with their dealings on transparency around people's information, data, and what's going to be done with that. Like, I hope y'all know that y'all get on TikTok and they just really are just stealing all your information. And I know people argue that other people do. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I just really don't feel comfortable with a foreign entity acting in this way. So if TikTok goes away, I'm good. I'm happy. It's one less app I have to be concerned about. And I haven't used it since I promoted my book, and I really don't want to use it again. And I kind of like that some of these apps are going away, so I can just have the freedom and space to create my own content without feeling this obligation from everybody else. So that is definitely one positive thing about it. Now, on to DEI. DEI, there's a lot of backstabbing happening from tech and DEI. A lot of places are reneging on their DEI proposals. A lot of people are reneging on what they want to do for the community, and diversity, equity, inclusion, and the various institutions being shut. One major one is Meta. Meta has come out the wazoo and just basically was like, we're cutting our DEI efforts and talking about fair and merit-based. Child, let me be quiet. I thought that during the racial uprising, when we talked about DEI, we acknowledged that merit was not that. If the tech companies can just admit that you're scared of Donald Trump and what he's going to do, and you're acquiescing to his demands, just say that. Because right before Mark Zuckerberg made this announcement, days before, he announced he was cutting fact checking, and should already be regretting that. I mean, it's just been so much backpedaling and all this politics. It's annoying. But I mean, what do you expect? Billionaires are going to billionaire, right? So that's what's happening. And it's a mess because in some ways, Amazon, I mean, apparently is doing a $40 million deal with Melania Trump to do some documentary special. The grift is real, and across the industry, we're seeing all these changes. I mean, there were layoffs at Washington Post. This did not affect the editorial team, affect their business team. But as you all know, that if it hits, business, it's going to eventually hit editorial again. So the Washington Post journalists, I mean, they're getting poached left and right. There's somebody from the Atlantic, took somebody from there. A couple of other outlets are taking talent from the Washington Post because people assume that there's zero confidence from staff with the leadership team. Like, they have just no confidence. And they're getting scooped up from, local stories and other people, especially people like me. So it's wild. So we'll see. Also, this week's Ask Ernest. Now, I do want to take some time to talk about Ask Ernest this week because a lot of you all have been coming to me, oh, this is, yeah, it's going on, it's going down, and a lot of stuff is happening and going down, and it's going on, it's going down, and so yeah, just wanted to put that out there and let people know. This, I just read something that got sent to me. It was a very nice message from somebody I never expected would send me this message. But a veteran journalist who I've known for a long time, the headline of their email to me was GOAT. And they was congratulating me on breaking this big story. So, I love the GOATs when they send love and send shout outs. Thank you to this person. I'm not going to say their name. But it was very powerful. This Ask Ernest this week. So I'm going to read what was sent to me. It was a Facebook post that one of you all sent to me and asked me what was my thoughts on it, and also wanted to, gather, everything. So let's break this down a little bit. Bear with me. It is a little bit of a long post, but it is juicy. So this is the post that came out. I'm reading it, quote. One of my clients directed a woman to me because she was in distress and wanted to save her relationship. What was the issue, you ask? Her boyfriend found out she'd been referring to him as, quote, unquote, end quote, medium ugly, and rebranded their relationship as her living the soft life at his expense as a provider. They are both in med school. They both work. He's not her provider. Her parents are helping out with school expenses and they live together. She created this whole fantasy and she was starting to monetize it on TikTok. From what I understand, he came across he came across her semi-viral video of her trying to quote unquote put women on. She basically says she found herself an unattractive man and he spoils her. In parentheses, this person said, I've seen the man. He's actually cute in a yup, that's a black man kind of way. He is actually very cute, but was born with a cleft lip and palate and had it repaired. He's kind of sensitive about the minimal scarring. So once it was confirmed she wasn't cheating and was referring to him, he broke up with her. I declined to assist with reconciliation once I was fully appraised of the situation because what the fuck? Then she tried to hit me with he's a man, he doesn't need to be beautiful, that's my job. I told her she was a soulless parasite, a dizzy beingbat, and blocked her. I pray he stays far the fuck away from her. Ernest, what's your take on this? Is what the person said to me and sent to me. Okay. So what I will tell you is good call, right? Here's this thing I've been noticing on social media. And it is very sad. And it's why social media is trash and why I'm happy TikTok is being banned. There's been this culture of people trying to brand themselves as advice gurus, as all types of things they're not. And it's really weird because when I hear this story about this woman in particular, I'm just kind of like, you and your man both went to web or in med school. There could have been a beautiful, factual, actual story about how you are a black loving couple, right? That you all are young, beautiful, and you all are basically pursuing your dreams in med school. And I think that would have been a beautiful story because it was a true story. And it says something that even educated women, even educated people, that even when you have a man that loves you and have a person that is with you and that clearly you all could have built a family together and made money together, both of you all are doctors, y'all really could have built a family and could have built a really strong bond, that wasn't enough for you. That this narrative of this man is putting me on and I got a zaddy, even though that wasn't true, that was more aspirational to you and more cool to you to try to position. Like this medium ugly guy is actually your quote unquote boyfriend who's also in pursuing his dreams in med school. Like you rather play him like he's a medium ugly zaddy rather than a man who's a loving man that's actually aspiring on your level, trying to aspire for the same dreams you have. And you're giving advice to other women, making it seem like their circumstances is there. So you're out here struggling with your other med partner, a boyfriend or whatever, and you're literally not happy with that. So you try to create you don't deserve him. Okay? You don't deserve him. And women and men, any of y'all who do any of this type of shit, you don't deserve the person you're with because basically you are basically saying in so many ways that you're so not happy about the life you live with this person that you would rather imagine and create a narrative about them to make them more, because I guess that's not enough. Yeah, you need help. That is very fucked up and very problematic. And I think you should talk to someone. I think that you should really take a chill pill and get and recenter and reprioritize your life and free that man. And I'm happy that man freed himself. And I hope that you don't text him or say, come back, baby, I miss you. Let that man go. And let that man go to find another woman who actually is educated and bright and brilliant and lovely and grateful and thankful and wants a man that is just as thoughtful, educated, kind, and wise as him. You don't deserve him. And anyone who's doing that, hopefully none of my listeners, but if you know someone's doing that, Tell them to stop. That's all. That's all. So moving along to movies. As you all have noticed, Oscar season is shaping up. I mean, award season is in full swing. Um, there was a lot of awards shows like the Critics' Choice Awards that was supposed to happen, like a precursor awards that was supposed to happen that didn't happen because of the fires that are going on. As you all know, I'm headed down to the Grammys in like around like less than 3 weeks, at the end of January, early February. And, so far it looks like the Grammys are still on, but a lot of award shows has been rescheduled due to the fires and due to everything that's happening right now. So it is a lot going on, and there's more priorities, but we're talking about movies and entertainment. Um, Wicked is doing big right now. The people are talking about Wicked. First of all, I mean, the Golden Globes was a shocker, right? Who saw Demi Moore winning a Golden Globe? She's never won a major movie award like this in her entire career. But The Substance is great, and I've been telling you about The Substance. But even Mikey Madison in Honora that people thought was going to be a front runner, that's gotten weird. Okay. Fernanda Torres in I, Here I Am, I believe it's called, or whatnot. She won as well, and it's been interesting to see the level of support she's got, even though she's been snubbed in certain categories. But I'm Still Here's the name of the movie. But she, people are talking about her. Um, Other actors, I mean, Adrian Brody is looking like a front runner, along with Timothy Chalamet. They're both looking like front runners right now. Best Picture, Amelia Perez won the Best Musical category, and The Brutalist also won. But Amelia Perez, man, on Netflix, I will say I did go back and rewatch it, and I liked it more the second time than the first time. The first time I was a little. I mean, I did not dislike it, but I was a little kind of unsure how I felt. But I must say, I really loved it the second time, and I really thought it was fun and creative and interesting. And if you have not seen it, please watch it. Initially, you might feel like the subtitles are a little whatever, but you already watch movies with subtitles, so you'll be fine. But I was feeling it. I was really feeling it. I saw Nora. It's available on demand. Enjoyed Anora again, watching it. Been on the same type time. For those who have already watched Anora or want to watch it, Anora is Anora. You can watch it at home if you want to, or you can find it in an indie theater somewhere if you can. But what I will tell you all about Anora is that I never was crazy about the Mikey Madison performance. I mean, I can see it getting an Oscar nomination, but I just don't see it as winning. Because to be honest with y'all, for those who know, it's giving a white girl playing a city girl. Like city girls. Y'all know city girls. Act Up, you can get, them girls. It's basically a city girls film. Like it basically feels like basically she's a stripper. She, sees a rich guy, a rich Russian young zaddy. He's not a zaddy because he's not older. He's like a young rich boy, and they're both in their 20s, and she's a stripper, and she kind of like play like she's like, I mean, basically she's an escort, and she's falls in love with him, and they get married in Vegas, and then basically the parents find out that their rich son that's pampered is not right, and they try to get it annulled, and all hell breaks loose. But you follow this journey, and it's like a wild roller coaster. It's directed by Sean Baker, who's a very good director. He's got some really great films he's directed. He's directed The Florida Project, which is really good. He's had some great films under his belt. But Sean Baker is he's been making some hot movies. And this was a very spicy film. And Tangerine, oh my God, Tangerine, where would I be? Tangerine is another great classic that he's directed. That's the one with the trans cast. And it was a really great movie about some trans sex workers. He also directed Red Rocket. That was kind of edgy. But his movies are very edgy. He's got some interesting films. For those who follow Sean Baker's, cinematography. Tangerine, Red Rocket, The Florida Project, which I really, really liked, and Honora are some of his big ones in recent years. But yeah, he's got some good films. I cannot believe Tangerine is turning 5 years old this year. I remember when Tangerine like first came out and how everybody talked about that film and like the for it to like now be 10 years old. It was so groundbreaking like 10 years ago. Like this whole film about a day in the life of two trans sex workers that were of color, like navigating life in Cali, I believe. Interesting film. And you can like watch it as well. It's available. But if you've not seen Tangerine, go watch it to understand Sean Baker's films. But Honora is just fire. I love fire. Florida Project I like too. Willem Dafoe really should have won the Oscar in that, but I digress. He should have won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. I really liked him in that too. But anyway, I digress. But outside of that, I mean, I watched Wicked. I saw Wicked again, but I saw it at home. I ain't gonna hold you. Every time I watch the last like 30 minutes, it makes me cry because it's just so powerful. I just it's doing its thing, and I definitely think Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande can get nominated. Even though I will say that the supporting actor categories overall has been interesting because everyone's been talking about like, well, who's gonna win what, and I've been telling people like, I don't know. I think there's a chance that maybe Ariana Grande can win, but Zoe Saldana won for Amelia Perez, and that was a phenomenal performance. And Kieran Culkin's been winning everywhere for his film, which I really like. I really like um this film he's been in lately, A Real Pain. I love that movie. It's 90 minutes. It's a short, sweet film. It hits on so many emotional tugs. And Kieran Culkin is just great in it. So I see him as winning the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. My Denzel Washington Gladiator 2 dreams seem to not be happening anymore. I mean, when I saw the SAG Awards and he got snubbed, they snubbed Denzel. Look, it looks like even Nicole Kidman for Baby Girl is not coming through. And maybe Angelina Jolie may not even get nominated at this point for Maria, even though people thought at first she was a front runner. So it's looking very edgy about what these awards are. It's a wild award season. We don't know who's going to win. Everything's up in the air. I mean, all the races are hotly contested. The only one I think is a safe bet is Best Supporting Actor. I think Carrie Ann is going to get that. Best Supporting Actress is up between Ariana Grande and Zoe Saldana. Best Actor is between Adrian Brody and Timothée Chalamet. I think in the back of my mind, Adrian Brody's going to get it, though. Best Actress is all up in the air. I think the fight, to me, is between Demi Moore and Mikey Madison, but that could change, to be honest. But Demi Moore is definitely shaking the table. So we'll see what happens at the SAG Awards, these upcoming other precursor awards, but you'll stay tuned. Y'all know I love the Oscars. It's just as political, except it's with people with money. A quick review for films. I saw One of Them Days, the film with, okay. I don't know if it's come out of theaters yet. I don't think it has. But I could talk about, I've seen it. I would just say this, and I'll leave it at that. Janelle Jones, our fave from Abbott Elementary, she's the screen sealer for me. Kiki's cool. SZA's gonna be a polarizing character. I feel like some people might love her character and they're gonna go up for her and it's gonna be like, oh my gosh, she's the best thing. Or some people are going to look at it and go, oh my gosh, she's annoying. Like, she's extra. She's trying it. Like, I feel like it's gonna be polarizing like Tiffany Haddish was in Girls Trip. Either you thought this was so funny that she was close to getting an Oscar nomination, or you just thought that it was just so like flat level comedy where it was just like she couldn't stop acting like herself. And what's sad is that I actually, when I first saw her in Girls Trip, I did find her funny. I found her refreshing. I found her different. Looking back at what we know about Tiffany Haddish now and going back and watching Girls Trip, it did not age well. It does not age well. I do not think Girls Trip aged well. I respect the impact it had at the box office for Black women and Black actresses, but I just don't. I don't think the jokes. I don't think a lot of it does not. It does not age well. Even the Diddy references, like, go back and watch. Like, some of y'all may have forgotten some of that. A lot of it just does not age well. and even Tiffany Haddish did not age well. Like as far as her acting and her humor, like what we know about these people now, it just doesn't age well. Even, I mean, Jada and her crush on a younger man, that younger man being, that black actor Kobe, um, from Queen Sugar. I just feel like, Kofi Sarobi. Yes, Kofi Sarobi, from Queen Sugar. That was even more like foreshadowing, like her whole thing. So very telling on all sides, but nonetheless, it's movies. Um, Outside of that, yeah, watch the movie. I don't want to sway, but it is interesting. I will say that I wish they would have waited. I think this should have been a direct to film. Like, I don't necessarily know if it was ready for the movie theaters. I would have personally preferred it to go direct to video, direct to something. I would have preferred that angle, but what do I know? Moving along to music. I mean, music is, at the beginning of the year, music goes a little slow. There's interesting things that happen in music. Little Baby's album Wham debuted at number 1 on the Billboard charts. A lot of people have mixed thoughts about it. Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars finally hit number 1 on the charts with their song "Die with a Smile," which is okay. I'm hoping that Shabuzi, a bar song, could potentially come in at number 20 on the Billboard 200 charts and break the record, the Billboard Hot 100 charts, and potentially break the record. Because he's at number 2 this week, but the guy could break the record for most weeks at number 1 of all time. And he's currently tied with Lil Nas X. So I'm paying attention to that. And then lastly, there's been talk about Doechii. I think she's okay. I think she is a front runner for the Grammy. I think she's going to win a Grammy. I don't necessarily know about Best New Artist. I don't know exactly what the title will be, but I do see her coming in with that title. I definitely do see her having potential to do something big and epic, and I definitely see that. So, we'll see how this will play out. We'll definitely see how that will fare well. As far as TV goes, it's interesting because we're going to have to see, how this plays out. We'll see how this plays out, and with one show in particular, the show that I'm in love with right now, y'all know how I feel. Love and Hip Hop. I can't even say Atlanta, but Atlanta in London. And y'all know why I'm hype about London right now, because I'm like, everybody's going to London right now. They just had the season premiere last week. I love it. The drama is at an all-time high, and I'm here for it. Like, for starters, it looks like Jock and Kendra might be getting a divorce. That is the narrative. The first episode, they look like Jock act like he was over it, because Kendra looks like she wants to get her lick back on Jock, because apparently some player that she used to date, some former NFL player, wants to do business with her. He's been flirting with her, and Jock done went in her phone and wants to confront her, even though she's not like flirting back. Like, she's been very faithful and professional, but I guess the fact that another man is giving her interest, he wants Kendra to stop everything and not do everything. I'm like, but Jock, you literally you done had a baby over her while y'all were together or broken up or whatever, and she took you back. You have had other allegations of cheating, and I still think he did some weird things. Like, your timeline with her and other girls, with Carly Red and stuff, been off, and you can't get this woman no grace. But that's how these men do. That's why I tell people, like, well, women, do what the fuck you want to do and bet yourself, because if you ever give a man grace, a lot of these situations, these men will not give you the same grace that you give them. Like, they just do not, because that's just what it is, sadly, with these guys. So I'm just little like, I'm like, I don't know, but she seems like she doesn't give a fuck. So we'll see, but that was exciting. Another cliffhanger is that they're in London trying to record. It's obvious that there is tension between not Jock, Little Scrappy and Chaotic, his friend, and we're also getting previewed and privy to the fact that Scrappy has another baby from a woman that is not named Erica Dixon, a woman that is not named, well, we just gonna call her the Bambi, a woman that's not named Shay Johnson. This is a woman. Apparently, there's allegations that there was a threesome that went down with him, and in this situation, he, got a woman pregnant, and apparently the baby mama is going to be staying at Mama D's house. Was at Mama D's house while he's going away. Like, there's a lot of mess. Okay, and if you're somebody who's not caught up with Love and Hip Hop, this might be the season to come back and watch. I'm just saying. Set your DVRs on MTV, and all that. Love and Hip Hop Miami is happening as well. I've been following that. Also very good. The drama is being kept at all-time high. Princess and Amara La Negra are fighting over Ray J. Shocking or not shocking. Let me just say this. Amara La Negra is a big disappointment because she started off on this show as being what could have been a very thoughtful character that had well meanings. Let me backpedal real quick because I'm thinking about another person on Atlanta now, Yandy Mendices. Apparently, Yandy Mendices in these streets, but we'll get to that later. But back to what I was saying. I really do think it's interesting how she has carried this season. She's always in these entanglements with other people's men. And I'm just at a point where I'm like, girl, I want better for you. I want you to have better confidence in yourself. So there's just been a lot of weirdness with her. But it's been good TV nonetheless. But my big show of the day, my big episode, the one I want to talk about, if you have not set your DVRs and watched it yet, but Abbott Elementary, the new season or the return of the season is back. Because at the winter break, they're back. And the episode was a cross collaboration with It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I will not tell any spoilers. I will not give anything away. But this is definitely one of the top 3 best episodes of Abbott Elementary ever. And it is the Philadelphia episode we've always wanted. And for those who watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia, I haven't watched every episode religiously, but it's like one of the best shows, comedy shows in modern history. This crossover was genius, like genius. If you know the characters or don't know the characters, let's say you don't watch the show and you just wanted to watch this episode and you was watching it and you watch Abbott religiously, the show works well. If you know Always Sunny in Philadelphia and you know the characters and you know the surprises, this show is a fan favorite. So either way, it's a great show. I lost it. The cameos, the surprises, everything about this show works perfectly. And I give my approval of that. And then thumbs down for me. Squid Games 2. Yeah, y'all, don't make me watch that show. Don't make me watch another Squid Games. It does not have the same excitement and flavor of the first season. And quite frankly, I don't really know why we needed season 2. I guess it was very popular, but we don't need a season 3, to be honest. I just really don't. I don't know. I feel like they waited too long. I feel like Netflix waited too long to bring this show back. And I feel like it's lost its luster along the way. It dominated at the first Emmys. And then since then it's been up in the air. But I don't really know. It's been like 4 years. Well, it's been 3. It's been 3 years. It's been 3 years. And so, well, has it been 3 years? There's been the game show. It's been, it's been about 3 years. And I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know what people want. Even with Squid Game, the challenge, that was a little bit of a stretch. But I don't know. I guess there's money to be made in it, and I guess it's doing well on viewers, but I don't think it has the same global hype as it did before. So that's my feedback on that. So what's coming up this week for myself? I'm enjoying these Libra birthdays. I got CCP coming. I got, other things happening. What I will tell you all is that book 2, the proposal is done. And there are conversations being had. And that's all I can say. But book 2, like the title, the plans, we got a book, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I'm going to say. The announcement will be coming, all the details. We got some time from that. But I just wanted to let y'all know in the season 8 premiere, episode 1, that I remember when I started this podcast, 201 episodes ago, I told you all about my first book. And now I'm happy to tell you all that there is a second book coming. And more details will be coming this year. And that's all I can tell you right now. I might drop some little nuggets of teasers and clues and shit, maybe. But what I will tell you all is that there will be a book 2. It's coming. Stay tuned. And as far as the rest of this week goes, y'all, I'm going to ride this wave. I broke the biggest story of Philadelphia of the year thus far. I came in swinging. And there's going to be a lot of interviews and press. I'm doing some podcast appearances on other people's programs and stuff. So if you're looking for other entities to support, networks and stuff, just stay glued to my social media. Tune in to WRD on Monday. I'll be on the Evening Words show on WRD on Monday night if you listen to this early enough. But I'll be around. So stay tuned. And as always, be well and be best.
Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.